Chapter 426. With a grab of her small hand, the vital energy crystal in Su Yu's dantian froze, as if it was being pulled by something. Even Su Yu himself was pulled out of the teleportation. Su Yu's expression changed. The techniques of the fairy realm were unexpected. His heart trembled. If he had been held back, he did not even need to think about the consequences. Especially when he met Xing Ji's furious eyes, Su Yu felt a chill in his heart. But at that moment, the sloppy old man's strange laughter came from above the seal. Interesting. I was prepared to watch a good show. To think that even you were fooled by these two kids. After saying this, his hands grabbed downwards. Two huge, green hands passed through the seal, grabbing Su Yu and Xia Jingyu and pulling them out of the dragon abyss. Xinggu was furious. Where do you think you're going? The sloppy old man blew a mouthful of air toward the seal. The sword light, which had been deflected, changed its trajectory and struck Xing Ji's body. Xinggu was caught off guard. She let out a furious roar, her entire body filled with ghost energy, forming a black armor on the surface of her body. The sword light struck the armor, creating intense sparks. Xinggu was crazily injecting vital energy into the armor. The two of them were locked in a stalemate for 3 breaths. With a cracking sound, the armor shattered. Xinggu let out a pathetic cry, a burn mark left on her chest as she flew backward. Her face was pale, her entire body dim with ghost energy. The light in her eyes had also dimmed. Her entire body was filled with residual lightning. Her body had been damaged, and she was clearly severely injured. As her body fell into the darkness, her black and white eyes glared at Su Yu, filled with hatred. He had used her vital energy crystal and the thunder sword she had snatched back to injure her severely. From the start, it had been Su Yu who had been fooling her, not her. Thinking about this, Xinggu hated him to the core. Her plan to escape, which she had prepared for 1,000 years, had been destroyed by him alone. Being stared at by that gaze, Su Yu felt a chill down his spine. But this woman would be trapped in the abyss forever, so there was no need to worry. Seeing that the seal had started to recover after they came out, Su Yu heaved a sigh of relief. He had been on tenterhooks during his days of being controlled. Now, he felt a sense of relief, as if he had been released from a huge burden. Right at this moment, the sloppy old man's smiling face suddenly stiffened. He lowered his head to look at the dragon abyss beneath his feet. His expression gradually turned grave. Su Yu also felt a fiendish aura rising from the bottom of the dragon abyss. Roar, an earth-shattering dragon roar, caused the dragon abyss of the 9 underworlds to shake violently. The surrounding sea surged and roared angrily against the shore. In fact, the entire Zhenlong continent could hear this dragon roar that pierced through the clouds. Crack, mist churned at the bottom of the dragon abyss, and a huge tail covered in scales slammed into the sky from the black water. The restrictive spell of the dragon abyss shattered. A petite figure was swept out of the dragon abyss and into the outside world by the shocking force. Xinggu was stunned at first, then she was overjoyed. He formed a seal with his hands, and his body blurred as he appeared 1,000 feet away. At that moment, the sloppy old man slapped at the spot where he had been standing. The old man's expression turned cold as his palm struck empty air. Little demon, don't seek your own death. In the dragon abyss, no one had found trouble with her. But now that she had escaped to the outside world, the fairy realm experts of the Zhenlong continent would not allow a heavenly ghost to roam the continent. Xinggu let out a cold grunt. Thanks to you, I have been sealed for ages. I will settle this score in the future. Her figure blurred again, preparing to leave. Before she left, she gave Su Yu a cruel smile. Black Snow Devil King, I will remember you. No one in the Zhenlong continent can save you. Leaving behind a reverberating voice, Xinggu fled with her heavily injured body. The sloppy old man's expression turned grave. He wanted to chase after her, but the dragon abyss was more important. He bit the tip of his tongue, spitting out a mouthful of blood to cover the restrictive spell. The damaged restrictive spell rapidly recovered and was soon restored to its original state. The sloppy old man stared at the bottomless dragon abyss, his eyes gloomy. A moment later, he looked at the Cosmos Thunder Sword in Su Yu's hands and sighed. The eye of the spell has indeed been taken out. This is bad. Eye of the spell? Su Yu was shocked, looking at the Cosmos Thunder Sword in shock. The dragon abyss of the 9 underworlds is a crack in the world of the Zhenlong continent. It should have led to another world. In the past, it was the passageway for the Zhenlong continent to enter that world, until the calamity descended, and this passageway was taken over by a demonic dragon. To prevent this demonic dragon from invading the Zhenlong continent, the 3 of us fairies forged a thunder sword that gathered the vital energy of heaven and earth. We used it as the eye of the spell to seal the passageway. Now that the eye of the spell has been taken out, the demonic dragon can move a little. The restrictive spell was broken by the demonic dragon just now. Su Yu was shocked. The dragon abyss of the 9 underworlds was once a passageway that connected 2 worlds? This piece of news was truly unimaginable. Thinking of the dragon sealing well, which was 100,000 feet wide, and the giant claw mark that was left behind, Su Yu suddenly understood. Could that well be the crevice tunnel? The demonic dragon's body was too large, said the old man. It should not have been able to pass through the crack. But after so many years, it managed to open up a few fine cracks in the dragon abyss. That black pool was one of them. Part of its body could pass through those fine cracks and appear in the dragon abyss. The sloppy old man had a serious expression. In the future, no one can enter the dragon abyss. This place is a dangerous place. Su Yu's heart moved. He held the Cosmos Thunder Sword and thought quickly. If that was the case, would he have to hand over the Cosmos Thunder Sword? There was no reason for the sloppy old man to give a treasure that was close to a spiritual artifact to Su Yu. All right, this sword is not something you can possess. Hand it over. The sloppy old man waved his hand, and the Cosmos Thunder Sword flew uncontrollably into his palm. Also, if there is nothing else, leave quickly. This place might be dangerous. Su Yu opened his mouth, thinking for a moment. Elder, could you lend me this sword to protect myself for a period of time? The sloppy old man was a little surprised, but he immediately understood Su Yu's intentions. He wanted to use it to prevent the revenge of the heavenly ghost. He should have rejected Su Yu on the spot, but the sloppy old man sank into deep thought, his eyes flickering with an uncertain expression. A moment later, he looked at Su Yu and muttered, "This sword is an item from Jiuzhou. Its grade far exceeds that of a divine artifact. Logically speaking, you do not have the right to touch it. But if you agree to one of my conditions, it might not be impossible." Su Yu was secretly shocked, but his expression was calm. "I am but an immortal realm level 4 junior. I do not know how I am worthy of Elder's attention. But if Elder has any requests, please let me know." Chapter 427. Su Yu was surprised. He thought for a moment, then said, "Elder, please tell me. If it is within my abilities, I will do my best." "Haha, there is no need to be nervous. Even though this is difficult, it is not impossible for you." The sloppy old man chuckled. "In a few months, the mysterious heavenly divine pavilion will descend upon the Zhenlong continent. My condition is that you enter the mysterious heavenly divine pavilion and assist my beloved disciple in obtaining a treasure for me." Mysterious heavenly divine pavilion. Su Yu creased his brows. What was that? Whoosh! The sloppy old man took out a drop of blood and inserted it into the Cosmos Thunder Sword. He then tossed the Cosmos Thunder Sword to Su Yu. "Take this sword to protect yourself. There is a drop of my blood within it. If I do not retrieve it personally, you will not be able to refine it," the sloppy old man said. The sloppy old man said, "Once you retrieve the treasure that this old man wants, not only will this old man extract the blood essence, but I will also help you refine this treasure." Su Yu was delighted. He gripped the Cosmos Thunder Sword, his eyes flashing. "Elder, are you not afraid that I will be swept away by this sword?" The sloppy old man laughed, taking down the wine gourd from his shoulder. He shook it, but what came out was not wine. Instead, it was a yellowed ancient scroll with unfamiliar words written on it. A space divine artifact? Suyu was shocked. The Heart's Oath Scroll. Xia Jingyu's expression froze, and she let out a cry of surprise. The Heart's Oath Scroll that only existed 10,000 years ago has long been lost to the continent. To think that I would be able to see it in your hands. The sloppy old man was slightly surprised. Little girl, you know quite a bit. There are less than 100 people on the continent who understand the Heart's Oath Scroll. That's right, this is the Heart's Oath Scroll. As long as one swears to this scroll and inserts a drop of blood, unless the oath is completed, the scroll can use the blood left within to kill the person who made the oath from tens of millions of miles away. Suyu was shocked. There was such a strange item? But that made sense. The sloppy old man had never met him before. If he had given the Cosmos Thunder Sword to him without any precautions, Suyu would have been suspicious. If I'm not strong enough and fail to fulfill my oath, will I suffer the same misfortune? Suyu frowned slightly. The sloppy old man chuckled. That won't be necessary. If it's because of some irreversible factor or if the difficulty is too great and you can't complete it, I will naturally destroy the scroll of the Heart's Oath. In short, regardless of the final success or failure, this sword belongs to you. So, do you have any more questions? Suyu let go of his doubts, calmly sacrificed a drop of his blood essence, and injected it into the scroll. He then swore to it. With a flash of green light, the ancient scroll swallowed the blood essence. All right, there are still 2 months before the mysterious heavenly divine pavilion. If you are willing to stay on the island, you can do so. If you have other matters to attend to, I will not accompany you. However, after 2 months, you must come back here to meet me. Suyu cupped his fists and bowed. I still have important matters to attend to, so I will surely come here in 2 months to meet up with you. Senior, where are the 2 people who traveled with us? Suyu immediately inquired about Xien'er's whereabouts. The sloppy old Taoist pointed to the west. The people from the Heavenly Law Union took them away. They should be in the west. Suyu and Xia Jingyu cupped their fists in gratitude, teaming up to leave. Old man, that Cosmos Thunder Sword was prepared for you to pass the ordeal. Are you going to give it to the Black Snow Devil King so easily? A blurry shadow flashed by. It was Gang Dalei. The sloppy old Taoist laughed. If you can bring back that treasure from the mysterious heavenly divine pavilion, what harm is there in giving the Cosmos Thunder Sword to him? Gang Dalei had a pensive look. Old man, I really don't know what you're up to. You seem to care a lot about this Black Snow Devil King. If not for your secret instructions, why would I give the bright earth milk, which I use to train my body, to him so easily? The sloppy old Taoist laughed without speaking, his eyes glowing. In the dragon abyss, the demonic energy of the dragon sealing well soared into the sky. Suddenly, a towering demonic claw swept past, sweeping away all of the humans who had been sacrificed around the well. In the depths of the dragon abyss, the faint whispers of a woman could be heard once again. Hee, Sister Tianxian, a mocking voice said, I am surprised that you would help that little demon and help him escape the crack in the void. This does not match your reputation as the heartless Tianxian. After a while, an extremely cold voice floated over. I naturally have my reasons for letting her go. Sister Tianxian, why hide it from me? You are doing this for the mysterious woman called EU, right? The mocking voice revealed a secret. Otherwise, the little demonic dragon in the hands of the White Azura, which was created from the demonic dragon scale, was more than enough to kill an ordinary fairy realm fighter. How could it have only knocked EU unconscious? Furthermore, it was easily beaten back to its original form by that young man. If not for your deliberate actions, they would have long been turned to dust. There was a hint of surprise in those cold words, and her voice suddenly sank. "You're thinking too much." I guess correctly. I am really curious about a woman that Emotionscian cares about. Let me think about it. Proficient in all kinds of cultivation methods, superb comprehension, such a physique can only be explained by some ancient bloodlines. In the 9 states, ancient bloodlines are very precious. If you want to monopolize it, I'm afraid it won't be that easy. She is just a citizen of the Void Realm. How could she have an ancient bloodline? Furthermore, she is in the Void Realm. I do not have the ability to bring her to Jojo. That's why little sister helped that little brat leave the rift and enter the Void Zone. That little brat is constantly thinking of returning to the 9 provinces. I'm sure that she will not miss the mysterious Heavenly Divine Pavilion in 2 days' time. When that time comes, little sister will order her disciples to use their connection with that little brat to find the location of the people from the Void Zone. Then, by following the clues, they'll be able to find her. Emotionscian's voice turned cold. Green Luan, you know too much. Green Luan laughed softly, but did not speak. The ancient well regained its silence. On an uninhabited island in the vast ocean, Suyu and Eu stopped above a small island. It looks like the Heavenly Law Alliance passed by this place, Suyu said. Xia Jingyu glanced at Suyu from time to time, her eyes flickering with surprise. After a long while, she said, I really did not expect Mr. Black Snow to be able to resist the Heavenly Ghost's mind-planting technique. I thought that you were really being controlled, so I was prepared to snatch your Cosmos Thunder Sword at the last moment. I did not expect that you would be so patient and even give the Heavenly Ghost a fierce blow. Suyu tilted his head and smiled. Miss EU is the one who really surprised me. I was merely lucky enough to remain conscious, but Miss EU easily resisted it. You even went with the flow and pretended to be controlled. It is hard for me not to admire you. Back then, EU had pretended to be affected without hesitation, and Suyu had followed suit. Otherwise, he would not have known that the soul attack was a control technique, and he had nearly exposed himself. Seeing that Suyu was secretive and did not reveal the reason why he had avoided the mind-planting technique, she did not pursue the matter. She laughed softly. After knowing that she was the Heavenly Ghost, I took precautions. Coincidentally, I knew a little about the Heavenly Ghost mind-planting technique that she used, so I was able to deceive her. Back then, I was in a hurry, and with the Heavenly Ghost beside me, I could not warn you in time. I hope Sir Black Snow will not take it to heart. Suyu laughed. I can't even thank Miss EU enough. Why would I blame you? The only pity is that you are still short of 5 dragon abyss fruit. I was unable to fulfill my promise. Unexpectedly, EU smiled mysteriously. With a flash of jade light from her waist, a large number of dragon abyss fruits floated in front of her. There were 40 of them. Suyu was shocked. When, it was the white-faced Azura who was killed. The moment he was killed, I secretly took away his pouch. At that time, all of you were focused on the traitorous black-faced Azura, so no one noticed my actions. After searching for a bit, I found nearly 30 complete dragon abyss fruit. Evil ghosts loved to consume dragon abyss fruits, so it was not surprising that the Azura would carry a large number of dragon abyss fruits with him. If that's the case, I can rest assured. Suyu secretly heaved a sigh of relief, secretly impressed by this woman's intelligence and wit. As the two of them were laughing, clouds suddenly surged above their heads. An incomparably huge battleship appeared. It was at least 100,000 miles long and it covered the entire area. The sky was instantly covered in darkness, and one could not even see their fingers if they stretched out their hands. Xia Jingyu gasped. The Heavenly Law Alliance's warship. Rumor has it that it is the continent's divine ship of salvation, the last fortress of the human race. I did not expect it to be so majestic. As expected of an existence that has existed for tens of thousands of years. Suyu was also shocked. Such a huge warship was comparable to a continent. It was at least as big as Shinue Island. Creak, a deep and hollow sound came from the bottom of the warship. A thick metal door silently opened, revealing a brilliant white light that enveloped the two of them. With a creaking sound, they were sucked into the door. It was a ripple in space. The world spun. When Su Yu's feet landed on the ground, he felt his center of gravity become unstable. He staggered and was about to fall. Without thinking, Su Yu lowered his body, releasing a powerful physical strength to forcefully stabilize his body. At the same time, he heard a cry. It was Xia Jingyu, who had lost control of her center of gravity, falling. Su Yu extended his right hand, grabbing her waist. Without another word, he shot out a ring of lightning, surrounding the two of them to prevent them from being attacked. Your physical strength is not bad, to think that you still have the strength to help others. You are also very experienced in dealing with enemies. A soft voice could be heard. Su Yu looked over cautiously. It was a middle-aged man with a yellow face, carrying a long sword carved with stars. His whole body was filled with sword energy, extremely sharp. At that moment, he was looking at Su Yu with admiration. Looking around, Su Yu realized that Qin Xiener and Lord Qing Zhu were also there. There were also two unfamiliar middle-aged men. One was a somewhat familiar man with hair in his 50s, and the other was a middle-aged woman who still retained her charm. What shocked Su Yu was that all three of them, including the middle-aged man with the sword, were half-gods. Furthermore, they were not ordinary half-gods. The auras they released were similar to Xing Ji's. Chapter 428. Black Snow. This place is safe. Why don't you put EU down first? Lord Qing Zhu's face was a little green. The joy of seeing Xia Jingyu alive was still evident on his face. Qin Xiener, who was at the side, looked at Xia Jingyu with a complicated expression. Su Yu was stunned, but quickly regained his senses. He was still hugging Xia Jingyu. Su Yu naturally let go of the ring of lightning. His eyes were clear, and he did not have any improper thoughts. Xia Jingyu's face also turned slightly red. She looked around and became serious. She bowed and said, "Greetings, North Star Sword Saint Zhao Wuji, Undead Phoenix Master Qiuning Shui, and Song Dragon Alliance Master Long Juexin." North Star Sword Sage? Undead Phoenix Master? A powerful fighter from the northern continent? Su Yu had heard of these two before. The North Star Sword Sage was from the 100 Territories Alliance, while the Undead Phoenix Master was the previous Master of the Phoenix Cabinet and the Master of the current Cabinet Master. The yellow-faced swordsman was naturally the North Star Sword Sage Zhao Wuji. The middle-aged woman standing beside Xiener was naturally the Undead Phoenix Master Qiuning Shui. The last person looked familiar. He must be the Heavenly Law Alliance Master. His aura was the strongest, giving Su Yu a sense of danger. He was even more terrifying than Zhao Wuji and Qiuning Shui. Zhao Wuji laughed in surprise. "Little girl, you can recognize us with just one look. It seems like the rumors that Lord EU is knowledgeable and has seen the world are true." Among the three of them, the Heavenly Law Alliance Master Long Juexin had the most indifferent expression. Qiuning Shui looked at Xia Jingyu kindly, but her gaze mainly fell on Su Yu. "This is not the place to talk. Both of you follow us. We have questions for you." Zhao Wuji's smile faded, his expression serious. The group of them entered the secret chamber. Zhao Wuji exchanged glances with Qiuning Shui and Long Juexin, then said, "Let the Alliance Master ask the questions." Long Juexin's expression was serious, his gaze lingering on Su Yu and Xia Jingyu. "I heard that you met with a change in the Dragon Abyss. This concerns the safety of the Zhenlong continent. Tell me everything you know." Su Yu nodded, telling them about his encounter with Xia Jingyu, his escape from the black-faced Azura, his encounter with Xing Gu, and his escape. However, he did not mention the Cosmos Thunder Sword. Hearing that the Sky Ghost had broken out of the seal, the three of them looked very unsightly. This heavenly ghost invaded from the 9 states all those years ago, and it happened to be stuck in the crack when the crack closed. Our ancestors of the human clan spent a lot of effort to seal it in the dragon abyss. Now that it has escaped, I'm afraid it will bring disaster to the continent. Zhao Wuji frowned. Long Juexin thought for a moment before saying, that might not be the case. This heavenly ghost has been severely injured by Elder Jiu, so it won't be able to come out and do evil for the time being. So, it won't be too dangerous for the time being. Hearing this, the 3 of them still looked uneasy. Zhao Wuji nodded gravely. If that's the case, then there's no need for us to return to the Dragon Abyss. We just need to spread this news to all the forces on the continent as soon as possible and be on guard. The 3 of them looked at each other and nodded in unison. This matter is over. All of you can leave, Long Juexin said. Zhao Wuji, Qiuning Shui, as well as Su Yu and the rest, stood up one after another. Black Snow Devil King, stay. Long Juexin said expressionlessly. Su Yu's heart thumped. During their short conversation just now, Long Juexin seemed to treat him coldly. Zhao Wuji's eyes flashed, and he waved his hand. All of you can leave. Qiuning Shui's expression did not change, and she sat down again. Long Juexin creased his brows. Both of you, I have some private matters to discuss with this Black Snow Devil King. Both of you should leave as well. Hehe, Alliance Master, we also have some private matters that we need to discuss with the Black Snow Devil King. Zhao Wuji laughed, not moving an inch. A bit of impatience appeared between his brows. Long Juexin looked at the 2 of them. All right, it seems like we have the same thoughts. Long Juexin's expression turned grave. Black Snow Devil King, you have massacred the North Continent, causing blood to flow like a river. Do you have anything to say? He had mobilized a large number of people, and his attitude was overbearing. Leaving him behind was to punish him. Su Yu was stunned, but he maintained his calm expression. Every injustice has its perpetrator, and every debt has its debtor. What's wrong with killing someone who deserves to be killed? His opponent's attitude caused Long Juexin's expression to turn cold. A formless aura pressed down like a giant mountain. Unrepentant, Su Yu felt as if a giant mountain was pressing down on him. However, his body had been transformed by the bright earth milk and vital energy, and he was close to a half-god. Long Juexin's aura could not do anything to Su Yu. Casually putting down his teacup, Su Yu calmly said, I admire the Heavenly Law Alliance for saving the world for the past 10,000 years. However, when did the Heavenly Law Alliance have the right to interfere in my personal grudges with a few factions? Over the past 10,000 years, the factions of the continent have fought against each other, and the number of deaths and injuries has reached more than 1 million. Why do I not see you punishing any of the factions, but you want to punish me? Could it be that it is not a crime for a faction to massacre people, but it is a crime for me to take revenge alone? Su Yu's eyes flickered with a shrewd light as he looked at the 3 of them. He then said calmly, Seniors, if you have something to say, just say it. Taking me down a notch won't have much effect on me. The Heavenly Law Alliance had never interfered in the affairs of the human world. Why did they have to make things difficult for Su Yu and ruin their own reputation? Using their power to suppress Su Yu would only make Su Yu look inferior to them. They had other motives. Zhao Wuji's eyes flashed with surprise. After exchanging glances with the other 2, he had a praising expression. Not only is the Black Snow Devil King powerful, but he is also very intelligent. I have underestimated you. Long Juexin grunted. I did not want to beat around the bush with you. Let's just say it out loud. Black Snow Devil King, the Heavenly Law Alliance does not care about you massacring people. However, the few treasures that you stole from the Yu clan's wedding cannot be controlled by you. Short distance wings, a fragment of a legendary level cultivation technique, and a high-grade divine artifact, the Death Horn. Also, The two clans' 10,000 soldiers' spiritual liquid does not belong to you. In order to prevent you from harming the continent and killing people, we will hand them over to the Heavenly Law Alliance for safekeeping. What they valued the most was naturally the high-grade divine artifact, the Death Horn. The three of them looked at Su Yu with similar expressions. Su Yu's lips curled into a smile. It was a mocking smile. I worked so hard and risked my life to kill my enemies to obtain them. You want to take them all back just because the continent is in danger? Long Jueshin grunted. There is no need to mock us. We are doing this for the sake of the continent. We have a clear conscience. Furthermore, you should be satisfied that you have obtained the token of the Dragon Abyss of the 9 underworlds. He touched his dantian. There was still a vital energy crystal there. It was enough to activate the Cosmos Thunder Sword once. Su Yu laughed coldly. What a joke! When these treasures were in the hands of the 8 great ancient clans, why did you not confiscate them? Now that they are in my hands, you remember that these things will harm the continent? Such sanctimonious words might work on children who are inexperienced, but do not use them on me. The three of them froze. This person was definitely not a youth. Do the three of you have anything else? If not, I will take my leave. Su Yu stood up coldly. Slap. Long Jueshin slammed the table and stood up. How dare you? I spoke kindly, but you are stubborn and forced me to use force. Chapter 429. Within the Cosmos Mirror, the Thunder Sword was spinning. With just a thought, it could kill the three of them. Such bold and presumptuous words really caused the three of them to be secretly shocked. The atmosphere became tense. Long Jueshin's eyes were filled with murderous intent. Zhao Wuji waved his hand. Alliance Master, this matter. I think we should consider it carefully. If we really attack, wouldn't we be killing him and stealing his treasures? That would go against our original intentions. Qiuning Shui, who had not spoken since the beginning, slowly stood up and sighed. Let's just forget about this matter. I didn't agree with such a method in the first place. Forcefully taking someone else's treasure, no matter how honorable the reason is still the act of bandits. Long Jueshin was slightly surprised. These two were actually protecting Su Yu. Long Jueshin coldly grunted. Fine, let's forget about this matter for now. Black Snow Devil King, let me ask you one last thing. My son went missing while searching for you. Did you see him? Su Yu's expression did not change. I encountered Azura and only cared about escaping. I did not see your son. Do you have any more questions? Long Jueshin's expression turned cold. Are you serious? With a light laugh, Su Yu said, I have already said what I needed to say. Whether you believe me or not is up to you. Seeing that the two of them were about to fight again, Zhao Wuji hurriedly said, Alliance Master, Fei Yu is very alert. He has not returned yet, so I'm afraid he is hiding somewhere in the Dragon Abyss, waiting for an opportunity. We have already arranged for people to stand guard on the Dragon Abyss Island. If there is news of Fei Yu, we will inform you. Alliance Master need not worry. Long Jueshin's expression relaxed. He looked at Su Yu deeply, then left. Hee, Black Snow, Pavilion Master Chiu and I can only help you so much. After he left, Zhao Wuji smiled at Su Yu. How could Su Yu not know that they were protecting him? If they had not been present, Long Jueshin would most likely have killed him. Thank you, elders. I am grateful. Su Yu cupped his hands and thanked them. Zhao Wuji waved his hands and laughed. There is no need. We did not agree with Alliance Master Long's decision. Helping you was a simple matter. Moreover, we are the ones who should be thanking you. Su Yu was confused. Perhaps you still don't know, but I was once from the 100 Territories Alliance, and Pavilion Master Chiu was from the Phoenix Cabinet, right? The northern continent is undergoing a drastic change, and due to our neutral status, it is inconvenient for us to take action. You destroying the Northern Continent Alliance can be considered as teaching them a lesson for the two of us. For you to be able to kill so many experts with your own strength, you're really not simple. Among those of the same generation in the northern continent, you're definitely the number one. Suyu suddenly recalled that the Phoenix Cabinet's master had once mentioned that the northern continent had several experts in the Heavenly Law Alliance. Senior, you praise me too much. I was just rash for a moment, and I was lucky enough to escape from a great calamity. I even managed to get my revenge, Suyu replied modestly. Qiuning Shui looked at Suyu, calmly saying, "No need to be humble. You deserve the title of number one in the North Continent." Slowly standing up, Qiuning Shui took out a bottle of white elixirs from her sleeve. "I have heard of your help to Siener in the Dragon Abyss. Take this bottle of elixirs. Consider it my compensation to you on behalf of Siener." Zhao Wuji looked at the elixirs in surprise, then clicked his tongue. "Phoenix Master Qiu seems to think highly of you. This is an elixir that can recover spirit energy, the Frost Moon Dew Pill. A bunch of old men like us can't get it even if we beg for it. Kid, you're really lucky." An elixir that could recover spirit energy was rare. Suyu accepted it gratefully. Being able to recover spirit energy at any time during a fight would put him in an invincible position. Nodding her head, Qiuning Shui said, "If you have nothing else to do, rest in the Heavenly Law Alliance for a few days. This place is vast, and the spirit energy is denser than the outside world. It is the most suitable place for training." Suyu creased his brows. "Thank you for your kindness, but I have matters to attend to nearby, and it would be inconvenient for me to go too far. Furthermore, Alliance Master Long is biased against me. I'm afraid I won't be able to stay for long." Thinking for a moment, the two of them did not urge him to stay. "If that's the case, take care of yourself in the future." After saying this, they stood up to leave. "Elder Qiu, please wait. I still have something to ask of you." Su Yu's gaze flickered as he called out to her. Zhao Wuji was stunned, but he naturally left. "What is it?" Qiuning Shui turned back to look at him. Su Yu took out the death bugle and handed it over along with 5 drops of 10,000 soldiers' spiritual liquid. "This is..." Qiuning Shui's expression changed, her gaze flickering. She did not understand Su Yu's actions. "This is for Qin Siener," Su Yu said calmly. "There is nothing in this world more suitable for the death bugle than the Phoenix of Death Constitution. I hope Elder can pass it to Siener." Qiuning Shui looked at Su Yu, her gaze complicated. "Can you tell me who you are?" This person's love for Qin Siener was far more than that. Even half-gods would fight over a high-grade divine artifact. Yet, he had given it to Qin Siener so easily. Su Yu smiled. "Who I am is not important. What's important is that you pass it to Siener when it's appropriate." "Aren't you afraid that I will take it for myself?" Qiuning Shui did not take it. "If Elder cared so much about the death bugle, you would not have stopped Long Juexin." Su Yu placed the 2 items on the table, cupping his fist. "I'll be counting on you, Elder." After saying this, he turned to leave. "Wait!" Qiuning Shui hesitated for a moment. She looked at the death bugle and sighed. "Fine, I will accept this favor on behalf of Siener. Don't you want to make the Dragon Abyss elixir? I know a thing or two about elixir making. If you trust me, pass the Dragon Abyss fruit to me. Come here in half a month to retrieve the elixir." Hearing this, Su Yu was overjoyed. Even Zhao Wuji coveted this woman's elixir. It could be seen that her elixir-making skills were not just a thing or two. Without much thought, Su Yu passed the Dragon Abyss fruit to her. "Also, let me see your eyes." Qiuning Shui walked over, extending 2 fingers and tapping on Su Yu's eyebrows. A bolt of cool energy entered Su Yu's eyes. His eyes, which had been blind for a long time, could see a ray of light in the darkness. But very quickly the light disappeared. Qiuning Shui had a grave expression. "How could your injuries be so severe? Furthermore, it seems to contain a gust of heavenly might. I have never heard of it before." After muttering to herself for a moment, Qiu Ningshui lowered her head without a word. She wrote down a piece of paper. On it there were a few strange elixir ingredients. Blindness caused by heavenly might has already exceeded the scope of normal blindness. Normal elixirs are of no use. Regarding this, there is nothing I can do. Hearing this, Su Yu was slightly disappointed. But he did not hold out much hope. Xing Guo, who was at the fairy realm, had not treated him, much less Qiu Ningshui. But Qiu Ningshui's tone suddenly changed. But I once read about a divine eye called the evil-destroying silver eyes in an ancient book. It is rumored that this eye can resist the might of heaven and earth. If you can cultivate this divine eye, I believe that with its ability to resist the might of heaven and earth, you should be able to get rid of the remnant heavenly might in your eyes and regain your sight. Su Yu asked curiously, evil-destroying silver eyes? How do I cultivate this eye? Qiu Ningshui said in a low voice, the cultivation of this eye is not difficult. As long as you have a certain foundation in eye techniques and your eyes can withstand the evil-destroying silver eyes, I have a way to refine your eyes into the evil-destroying silver eyes. The truly difficult part is the ingredients. Chapter 430. The three main ingredients are all extremely difficult to find. Apart from the undead herb of the netherworld, I can provide you with some information. As for the remaining ingredients, the lightning-avoiding silver pearl, and the blood of a real dragon, I do not know anything. Just from the names of the three ingredients, one could tell that they were important items. It would not be an easy task to collect all of them. However, if Su Yu reactivated his eyes, the heavenly eyes would be able to unleash the power of the sealed spacetime energy. With the power of the heavenly eyes, even the fairy realm would find it difficult to withstand. Now that he was targeted by the heavenly ghost, if he did not find a way to save his life in time, he would be doomed. Thank you for your guidance. Please tell me about the undead herb of the netherworld. I will try my best to collect it. When the time comes, please help me. Qiu Ningshui nodded. Of course. If you can really find the three ingredients, I will do my best to help you regain your sight. You can go to the Azure Water Island to find out more about the undead herb of the netherworld. This island is the most prosperous market on the ocean, and it is also one of the important bases for the Heavenly Law Alliance to replenish resources. There are often all sorts of treasures that cannot be exposed on this island. A few days ago, when I went to purchase ingredients, I accidentally heard about the undead herb of the netherworld. Unfortunately, I left in a hurry and did not investigate in detail. If you go to this island, you might be able to find the undead herb of the netherworld. Azure Water Island? Su Yu nodded. After thanking her, he left the battleship and disappeared into the vast ocean. Phoenix Master Qiu, the evil-destroying silver eyes is the world's #1 divine eye that even the Void World Master failed in his attempt. If you tell Su Yu about it, wouldn't it be a waste of his effort? According to what I know, the lightning-avoiding silver pearl and the real dragon's blood are not things that can be found in the Zhenlong continent. Especially the real dragon's blood, even in the Jiuzhou, it is an extremely rare item. Zhao Wuji, who had already walked far away, appeared silently. Qiu Ningshui sighed. How could I not know? However, having hope is better than having no hope at all. Hee, it seems like the death horn is not easy to obtain. Zhao Wuji laughed. Qiu Ningshui frowned. This item is for Siener. I hope that you can keep it a secret from the Alliance Master. Zhao Wuji lightly snorted. If I tell that old man Long Jueshin, I'm afraid that if I don't tell him, he will try his best to get his hands on this treasure and leave it for his children. Speaking of which, the Heavenly Law Alliance claims that it protects all of the continent's outstanding talents and treats all of them equally. But, in fact, it's just grooming the younger generation of the factions that are on good terms with the Dragon Clan. It's really unfair. Qiu Ningshui was also dissatisfied, and said helplessly, The Long family is after all the guardian family of the warship, there is nothing we can do. Moreover, the dragon clan is becoming more and more prosperous, especially Long Jueshin's two daughters. They are both dragons and phoenixes among men. Regarding this matter, Zhao Wuji also sighed helplessly. Long Feiyu is fine. Although his aptitude is not bad, from what I can see, he is fickle and impetuous. Reaching the half-god realm is his limit. However, his daughter, Long Wuxin, is practicing the emotionless doctrine. Her aptitude is shocking, and I think that the chances of her breaking through to the fairy realm are not low. Especially when the mysterious heavenly divine pavilion has descended, if she is able to obtain even a little bit of opportunity, the chances of her breaking through to the fairy realm will be even higher. She could very well be the fourth fairy realm expert in the history of our Zhenlong continent. Qiu Ning Shui's expression was grave. This woman is indeed frightening. It is only a matter of time before she surpasses us. She has been traveling outside for the past 3 years, and it looks like she will be back soon. Following Qiu Ning Shui's instructions, Su Yu arrived at the famous market island, Kanglan Island. The market on the island was extremely large, and it spanned almost the entire island. After asking around, Su Yu arrived at the Golden Light Pavilion, where Qiu Ning Shui had heard news of the undead herb of the Netherworld. This was one of the 2 biggest treasure pavilions in the market, and the business was extremely prosperous. "Mister, what are you looking for?" Just as he entered, a beautiful and quick-witted young lady walked up with a smile. The young lady silently sized up Su Yu. She was in awe of him, but also secretly had a thread of hope. Su Yu pondered. "I have some things that I want to sell to your treasure pavilion." "Sell things?" The young lady was disappointed, but she did not lose her manners. The Golden Light Pavilion occasionally accepts some treasures, but only rare and precious items are accepted. "Mister, what do you want to sell?" In other words, if it was an ordinary item, there was no need to take it out. Su Yu thought for a moment, then casually took out a black crystal. This item was dropped when he killed a Rakshasa, and it contained a thick demonic dragon's breath. It was very effective for ghost cultivators, and it also contained a thread of extremely pure soul energy. If it could be refined into an elixir, it would have some effect on increasing soul energy. With Su Yu's current soul energy, the increase in soul energy was not obvious. Hence, it was not of much use. The young lady was stunned. She looked at it carefully a few times, but could not understand what it was. She could not help but frown. "What is this?" Su Yu raised his eyebrows. "Let someone who can speak come." The young lady was unhappy, but after hesitating for a moment, she turned and entered the back hall. She had stayed in the Golden Light Pavilion for a long time, and her standards were not high. Compared to normal martial artists, she was naturally much higher. However, this was the first time she had seen this item. Not long after, under her lead, a scholar in a long robe stepped forward, smiling warmly. "Mister, do you have something to sell to our pavilion?" Although the other party was polite, it was only out of courtesy. There was a hint of impatience on his face, as if he had been disturbed. If not for Su Yu's aura of U-Realm Level 4 peak, he might not have been so polite. Whoosh, Su Yu casually threw it over. The other party caught it subconsciously, opened it, and looked at it. At first, he was stunned, then his smile gradually froze. Finally, there was a trace of seriousness between his eyebrows. When he looked at it carefully, his eyes flashed with surprise. "Mister, please follow me to the back hall." The middle-aged scholar looked around vigilantly. When he looked at Su Yu again, he was much more enthusiastic, and extended his hand to make an inviting gesture. Su Yu nodded, not bothering to be courteous, and walked in openly. The middle-aged scholar turned to the young lady and ordered, "Go to the warehouse immediately and get a grade of fragrant spirit tea. Go quickly." The young lady was stunned. When she came back to her senses, her expression changed greatly, and she ran toward the warehouse hurriedly. First-grade fragrant spirit tea, this was the highest standard of hospitality. Only those heaven masters of the great forces would be able to receive such treatment. Just what kind of treasure did that bronze youth take out to cause shopkeeper Chi to be so solemn? In the back hall. I am Chi Ming, the shopkeeper of the Golden Light Pavilion. May I know your name? In the back hall, the middle-aged scholar spoke warmly. Su Yu's tone was indifferent. Black Snow, are you interested in this item? Chi Ming was not surprised by the other party's indifference. He smiled and said, the black crystal is a crystal formed in the body of a Rakshasa. It's a very good treasure for a ghost Tao cultivator. If you're willing to sell it, the Golden Light Pavilion will definitely satisfy you. This is not the first time the Golden Light Pavilion has bought this item. According to the previous price, you can exchange it for 2 complete immortal level technique. If you are willing to sell it, I can make the decision and add on a low-grade divine artifact. 2 complete immortal level techniques, and a low-grade divine artifact? That was fair. Haha, thank you for your kind intentions, but your pavilion might not have what I want. Su Yu's eyes flashed. Chi Ming's eyes narrowed slightly, and he smiled without batting an eyelid. What do you want? Our pavilion has some things that cannot see the light of the continent. Perhaps we have something that you need? Su Yu took a sip of tea and leisurely said, what I am looking for is the undead herb of the netherworld. If you can provide information on the whereabouts of the herb, this item will be given to your pavilion. If you have a complete stock, this item will be a fraction of the price. I have something else to exchange. Chapter 431. Compared to the undead herb of the netherworld, a black crystal was not considered precious. Chi Ming's body trembled slightly. A look of shock flashed across his face. You must be joking, Chi Ming said. The undead herb of the netherworld is a precious item. Even strong martial artists of the fairy realm would be interested in it. How could a small store like ours have such an item? Su Yu was slightly disappointed. It seemed that the news of the undead herb of the netherworld that Phoenix Master Chiu had heard might not have come from the Golden Light Pavilion. Instead, some fighters had been discussing it within the pavilion. Su Yu could not help but feel disappointed that he had come here for nothing. But he managed to rein in his emotions. I was rude and presumptuous. Since your pavilion does not have such an item, I will not disturb you any further. Farewell. Su Yu cupped his fists in farewell, then turned to leave. Chi Ming politely stood up to send Su Yu off. But suddenly, his ears twitched and his expression changed. He hurriedly chased after Su Yu. Sir, please wait. Shopkeeper Chi, is there anything else? Su Yu asked. Chi Ming looked hesitant. Sir, please forgive me for being cautious, but I am certain that you are not here to gather information. Truth be told, our pavilion does not have the undead herb of the netherworld, but we do have a piece of information regarding its whereabouts. What? Su Yu turned, his gaze flashing. Shopkeeper Chi, if you feel that 1 black crystal is not enough to exchange for this piece of information, I have other items to exchange for it. Shopkeeper Chi waved his hands. You must be joking. How could I not know the value of a black crystal? This piece of information is definitely worth it. But truth be told, our pavilion has been secretly searching for a group of trustworthy fighters to head to the location of the clue to obtain the undead herb of the netherworld. According to the clues, the undead herb of the netherworld grows in an extremely dangerous area. We need as many fighters as possible to obtain it successfully. Su Yu squinted. You mean that you wish for me to go with you? Chi Ming smiled. Sir, you are a smart person. We do not wish to reveal the value of the undead herb of the netherworld to outsiders. Unless you work together with us, we will not sell it. After hearing what was said, Su Yu laughed at himself. You think too highly of me. I am merely an immortal realm level 4 junior. Even if I were to go, I would only cause trouble. However, Chi Ming laughed out loud. Young master, you don't have to be so humble. From what I know, the abilities of the Rakshasa are almost equivalent to those of a heaven master. The fact that you were able to kill them shows that your abilities are extraordinary. In reality, the Rakshasa that Su Yu had killed, in terms of battle prowess, had even caused Qing Zhu and Long Feiyu to feel somewhat restrained. They were not much weaker than human kings. That was just a fluke. However, if shopkeeper Qi really trusts me, it's not impossible for me to go there. Qi Ming was overjoyed. Haha, with young Master Black Snow's help, our chances of success have increased by 30%. Should we set off now? Su Yu asked expectantly. Qi Ming muttered to himself, Sir, please do not be impatient. The undead herb of the netherworld is extremely dangerous. Every waning moon, the deathly energy is at its thickest. Even heaven masters would be corroded by the deathly energy if they approached it, causing their cultivation level to be damaged. In serious cases, they would die on the spot. Hence, we need to wait for the night of the full moon, when the deathly energy of the undead herb of the netherworld is at its weakest. Furthermore, it is too risky for only you and me to make this trip. Before you come, our pavilion has already invited many strong fighters to gather at our pavilion in 10 days' time. We will then head to the location of the undead herb of the netherworld together. 10 days later? Su Yu rubbed his chin, nodding his head in agreement. If that is the case, I will definitely meet you in half a month's time. After his speech, he confirmed the details with Qi Ming, then left the Golden Light Pavilion. He found a place in the market with a thicker spirit energy to cultivate in peace. In half a month's time, he had many matters that he needed to settle. After Su Yu left, Qi Ming's warm smile turned serious. He turned around and bowed respectfully. Master, the undead herb of the netherworld is of great importance to our clan. Why did you invite this person? If I am not wrong, this person should be the Black Snow Devil King, who has been in the limelight recently. It is rumored that he has killed more than 1 or 2 heaven masters. Now that this black crystal has been delivered, the rumors are even more true. He must have returned from the dragon abyss alive. This person is a bit of a threat. Would inviting him rudely spoil our plans? On the wall of the back hall, a landscape painting hung on the wall. The figure with his hands clasped behind his back had come to life. He slowly turned around, his voice drifting. This person has a lightning-based aura, which is extremely useful in breaking the final seal. This person might be able to play an unexpected role in obtaining the mysterious heavenly map. Even though he is somewhat powerful, he is not a threat. After the matter is over, do not leave this person alive. Qi Ming understood. I understand. Su Yu entered seclusion. First, he took down the dragon's soul coffin from his back. According to Yun Yazi, only vital energy from outside the Zhenlong continent could help Ling Xiaotian recover. With a thought, a blood-red color appeared on the surface of Su Yu's body. It was the bloodline of the evil ghost. A ghostly face greedily held a green ball the size of an eyeball in its mouth. It was filled with dense vital energy. This was the ball of vital energy that Su Yu had secretly kept after Xing Guo had lent her cultivation base to Su Yu. This was the reason why Xing Guo had felt that her vital energy had been greatly depleted. In order to avoid Xing Ji's suspicions, Su Yu did not keep too much of it, only a small ball. This ball of vital energy might not be enough to save Ling Xiaotian, but it would be useful to test the effects of the vital energy on Ling Xiaotian's recovery. With a thought, he sent a small ball of vital energy into the dragon's soul coffin. After it was absorbed, it turned into white energy, slowly enveloping Ling Xiaotian's body. His body quickly regained its color and color. His shriveled body continued to fill out, and his white hair turned from white to black. His weak life force continued to strengthen. The entire process was as if he had been brought back to life. An hour later, the white energy disappeared. However, Ling Xiaotian's body stabilized and did not shrivel up like before. This caused Su Yu to be overjoyed. According to his original predictions, Ling Xiaotian would not live past a month. But now, it seemed that he could live for at least half a year. Vital energy was indeed the only way to save Ling Xiaotian. The only pity was that although his body had recovered, his consciousness was not clear. But to be able to reach such a level had already exceeded Su Yu's expectations. He was exceptionally satisfied. Feeling much more relaxed, Su Yu put away the dragon's soul coffin and started to inspect the condition of his body. Looking closely, he could not help but break out in cold sweat. There was still a huge hidden danger in his body. Previously, when he had been struck by the lightning of the Cosmos Thunder Sword, the greenish-white lightning had entered his body and wreaked havoc. In the critical moment, Su Yu had blocked it with his purple lightning. Chapter 432. The green and white lightning that had been blocked had dispersed to various parts of Su Yu's body. They were destroying the life force in Su Yu's body at a speed that was difficult to detect. It looked like Su Yu's life force would be completely destroyed in less than 5 days. It would be too late for him to detect it then. Thinking of this, Su Yu was secretly shocked. Without hesitation, Su Yu began to expel them. Apart from the position of the purple thunder, Su Yu revolved his spiritual energy. Using 2 methods at the same time, he first gathered the scattered green and white thunderbolt. But what made Su Yu's expression sink was that the lightning came from the Cosmos Thunder Sword and was extremely stubborn. Su Yu could not suppress it in a short amount of time. A full day passed, and only 10% of the lightning was gathered near his dantian. Most of the lightning was still wreaking havoc in his body, and many of his internal organs had already suffered destructive damage. The pain continued throughout the entire process, making it difficult for him to endure. Luckily, his body had been modified by Xingguo, and the lightning had fused with his flesh and blood, giving him a stronger resistance. Thus, he was still able to stabilize himself. The battle continued for 6 days before Su Yu heaved a sigh of relief and opened his eyes. The green and white lightning that had been swimming around his body was now gathered near his dantian, forming a green and white ball of lightning the size of a thumb. But Su Yu needed to use a large portion of his spirit energy and all of the purple lightning to suppress it. Otherwise, once it was released, it would once again attack Su Yu's body. At this moment, Su Yu's face was pale, and his body was exhausted. His eyes were bloodshot, and he looked like he was about to faint. This is a huge hidden danger. If I do not think of a way to get rid of this ball of lightning, I'm afraid I will lose my life before I can break through to the fairy realm. Su Yu let out a bitter laugh, but his eyes were serious. This ball of lightning was already a huge threat to Su Yu. But now that it was under control, there would not be any trouble in the short term. This allowed Su Yu to heave a sigh of relief. After adjusting his breathing and returning to his peak condition, Su Yu took out the silver bow. This bow was a middle-grade divine artifact, but its power was extraordinary. But it was gradually unable to keep up with the dangers he had encountered. The only way was to further refine it. Previously, he had refined 20% of it, but there was still 80% he could not refine. Thinking about it, Su Yu took out the last 5 drops of 10,000 soldiers' spiritual liquid to cleanse the bow. With a thought, Su Yu sacrificed 5 drops of his own blood, fused them with the 10,000 soldiers' spiritual liquid, and started to cleanse the silver bow. The silver bow trembled more violently than ever before. The silver radiance was extremely dazzling. Su Yu was shocked and hurriedly revolved his spiritual energy to envelop the secret room so that it would not attract the attention of others. Wouldn't it be too much to refine them all at once? Su Yu lightly licked his lips. He was slightly excited, as he could feel that the bow, after being refined, would release an unprecedented power. At the very least, it could unleash 70% of its power. A top-notch mid-grade divine artifact with 70% of its power. Just the thought of it was tempting. This process was abnormally slow. After a full 4 days, a loud and clear dragon roar came from within the silver bow. Only then was the refinement complete. A total of 6 drops of essence blood rose from the silver bow, one more than the 5 drops he had expected. As such, Su Yu managed to refine 60% of it in one go. Thinking about it carefully, it was probably because Su Yu's physical body was not what it used to be, and the energy contained in his blood essence was also far greater than before. Therefore, he had refined more of it. Previously, he had refined 20%. Now, he had refined 80%. Even if the original owner of the silver bow was here, he would not be able to control it better than Su Yu. Moreover, after refining 80% of it, Su Yu could faintly feel that there was a terrifying aura hidden within the bow. Could it be, as Yun Yazi had said, that there was a terrifying arrow sealed within the silver bow? Su Yu pondered. Unless he completely refined it, the bow would always be in a sealed state. This made Su Yu even more curious. What kind of divine arrow could make Yun Yazi sigh in admiration? Counting the days, the 10-day deadline had arrived. Su Yu kept the items in the secret room. With a shake of his sleeves, his figure became blurry and he disappeared. Shopkeeper Chi, I am very sorry for being late. Su Yu entered the Golden Light Pavilion. A young lady had already invited him to the back of the pavilion. Haha, you are not late. There are still 2 hours to the agreed time. We are the ones who came early. Qi Ming laughed. Su Yu swept his gaze across the room and noticed 2 other people sitting leisurely in the room. One was a young lady in a red robe. She wore a fiery red pleated skirt that accentuated her slender figure and beautiful face. At that moment, the red-robed young lady's crystal-like eyes examined Su Yu. After a moment, she looked away disinterestedly. The other person was a young man in black armor. He was about 24 or 25 years old. He had a hooked nose and deep eye sockets. The armor on his body was carved with a ferocious dragon head. There were also a few barbs on his shoulder armor, making him look extremely ferocious. What made Su Yu slightly serious was that the abilities of these 2 people were quite impressive. They were both strong martial artists of the Heaven Master level. Moreover, their auras were not simple Heaven Masters. They were comparable to the Rakshasa from the dragon abyss of the 9 underworlds. Shopkeeper Chi, the armored young man coldly grunted. The expert who made us wait for so many days is this inexperienced brat? Qi Ming smiled warmly. I forgot to introduce you. Mr. Black Snow, these 2 are Miss Xian Wuhan and Mr. Jingbing. They will be traveling with us. Black Snow? The red-robed young lady, Xian Wuhan, who was not interested in Su Yu, could not help but be surprised. She looked at Su Yu again, a hint of doubt in her eyes. The armored young man also had a thoughtful expression. He creased his brows. You are the Black Snow Devil King? Black Snow. Such a strange name had never appeared before. It had only spread throughout the continent a month ago. Moreover, it was rumored that he was an immortal realm level 4 peak, similar to the cultivation level of the person in front of him. Looking at his attire, the dragon soul coffin, bronze, and blood-red hair, who else could it be but the Black Snow Devil King? Su Yu's expression did not change as he replied, Why? Do I need to explain my background in order to find the undead herb of the netherworld? Qi Ming pretended to be surprised. So it is the famous Black Snow Devil King. I was blind and did not recognize you. My apologies. Su Yu smiled. He had not intentionally changed his identity. Qi Ming was in charge of the Golden Light Pavilion. Su Yu would not believe that he did not have the ability to recognize him. Su Yu did not expose him. Can we set off now? He asked. Qi Ming smiled as he looked at Xian Wuhan and Jing Bing. Do the 2 of you have any objections? Xian Wuhan's expression was calm. Let's set off now. Jing Bing looked deeply at Su Yu. Killing a few Heaven Masters is nothing. If I wanted to kill you, it would be as easy as you killing them. Anytime, Su Yu said casually, giving him tit for tat. Qi Ming laughed. Since that is the case, let's set off. I hope that once we reach that perilous land, we can all work together. After saying this, he summoned a flying divine artifact. The group boarded the boat and left. The painting on the wall at the back of the hall started to burn, turning into a ball of ash that drifted away. Chapter 433. A few days later, 1,000,000 miles away from the Blue Waves Island. Deep under the sea, there was a bottomless trench. Countless caves were carved into the stone walls of the trench. The place was dark, having not seen sunlight for 10,000 years. Coupled with the fact that it was deep under the sea, it was cold all year round, causing the place to be extremely cold. The densely packed dark holes on the stone walls were like giant mouths that were ready to swallow anyone who passed by at any time. Suyu stood above the trench, revolving his spirit energy to protect his body. He secretly used his soul eyes to investigate the cave. Strangely, the cold energy was so thick that even his soul eyes could not see through it. He could only faintly see that there was a thin layer of water membrane outside each cave. The larger the cave, the more water membrane rippled. The lowest water membrane ripples only had one layer of water membrane ripples. The largest one, which was the huge cave in the center, had nearly 4 layers of water membrane ripples. The ripples of the water membrane bounced off Suyu's soul energy forcefully. Restriction. Suyu calmly retracted his soul eyes. Qi Ming put away the divine flying ship, speaking frankly. Does anyone know where this place used to be? Suyu and Jingbing did not speak. They stared at the strange, densely packed caves, not saying a word. Xian Wuhan creased her brows, uncertain. Could this be the birthplace of the Ghost Clan, one of the 8 great ancient clans, the 10,000 Ghost Cave? Qi Ming had a look of admiration. Miss Xian is knowledgeable. I am impressed. This place is indeed the furthest birthplace of the Ghost Clan. It is rumored that the Ghost Clan lived here in the past. After a great change, they migrated to the southern continent, and this place was abandoned. The gazes of the group fell on Suyu. The Black Snow Devil King had the bloodline of the Ghost Clan. This was something that everyone on the continent knew. Qi Ming continued, the undead herb of the Netherworld is the treasure of the Ghost Clan. Only the Ghost Clan's evil ghost energy, nourished for many years, can it be successfully nurtured. Even though this place has been abandoned, according to our investigation, no one has discovered this place over the years. We are certain that there are remnants of the evil ghost energy within the ruins. They have grown stronger over the years, and might have already nurtured 1 or 2 undead herbs of the Netherworld. The only way to obtain this herb is to enter deep within. The few of them looked at each other. After thinking for a long time, they nodded in agreement. If this place hadn't been opened since ancient times, then the possibility of the undead herb of the Netherworld being here was extremely low. Qi Ming stared at the cave in the middle, his eyes filled with anticipation. Everyone, since we have been reading ancient texts, the cave in the center leads to the sacrificial altar of the ghost race. That is the place where the ghost race offers sacrifices to the heavens. It is filled with dense ghost qi all year round, and the undead herb of the Netherworld is most likely there. Jingbing rolled his eyes. I'll say the ugly words first. Before we reach the altar, none of us are allowed to attack each other. Only when we find the undead herb of the Netherworld can we then rely on our own abilities. If anyone breaks the rules and attacks first, the other 3 will surround and kill him. The 4 of them exchanged glances and agreed. Before they found their target, it was too early to kill each other. Since everyone agrees, then it's easy to discuss. Qi Ming chuckled. Soon after, his expression turned serious. The cave we are going to enter has 4 layers of restrictions. They are extremely powerful. If one enters carelessly and activates the restrictions, they will only end up dead. Looking at the restrictions, the corners of Qi Ming's mouth twitched. I won't hide it from everyone. Actually, during our previous investigations, a Heaven Master that we hired from the Golden Light Pavilion was careless and triggered the restrictions. His blood was sucked dry and he died. Everyone's heart skipped a beat. To be able to kill a Heaven Master so easily, this restriction was very dangerous. There are 4 layers of restrictions in total, and the power of each layer is roughly similar. To be fair, the 4 of us will each break 1 restriction, Qiming said. Based on my calculations, the closer we are to the outside restrictions, the more dangerous it is. Hence, the arrangements are as follows. I will be the first to break the restriction, Xian Wuhan will be the second, and Jingbing will be the third. As for the last one, in theory, the Black Snow Devil King will break it. However, when the time comes, I hope that everyone will lend a helping hand. Help him break the restriction together. They were satisfied with this arrangement. Apart from Jingbing, who was slightly dissatisfied with being behind Xian Wuhan, the rest of them had no objections. In order to reassure them, as the initiator, Qiming was naturally the first to try the situation they had been hoping for. After the discussion, Qiming flew to the front of the giant cave. The aura of a heaven master was faintly discernible. Suyu was shocked. Qiming had hidden his aura very well. Even though his aura was not as strong as the other 2, he was not weak either. Qiming first took out a dark blue charm from his sleeves, crazily imbuing spirit energy into it. Xian Wuhan exclaimed, "The Broken God charm contains an attack close to that of a human king. Its power is extremely strong and cannot be underestimated. It is a life-saving charm that is priceless. To think that shopkeeper Qi would take out 2 of them at once." Suyu was secretly shocked. What a large sum of money! 2 talismans, one of which was worth more than a black crystal. 30% of shopkeeper Qi's spirit energy was absorbed into the charm. At once, the entire charm released a hazy blue glow. A frightening spiritual pressure spread out in layers. Suyu and the rest of them involuntarily took a few steps back, avoiding the suppression of the spiritual pressure. After the rune was completely suppressed, shopkeeper Qi's eyes flashed, and he quickly retreated while throwing the God-breaker rune in his hand. A blinding blue light exploded. A frightening power that was close to that of a human king suddenly spread out. After the blue charm was broken, the blue light that exploded out gathered once again, becoming a long and thin blue sword. It sliced toward the outermost layer of the water membrane. The ripple was attacked, shaking violently and flashing wildly. It looked as if it would shatter at the next moment. But as the blue sword disappeared, the water membrane gradually stabilized. Only a few cracks were left, which were slowly healing. An attack from a human king had not been able to destroy a single seal. The expressions of everyone, including Suyu, turned grave. The strength of the seal here was beyond what they had expected. Qiming was also a little surprised. He creased his brows and flew down once again. With a grunt, he activated an immortal-level technique, cultivating it to stage 2 top class. Under the impact, the power of the universe descended. A 5-zhang large green footprint, glowing with a hazy green light, stomped down. With a deafening sound, the first layer of the water membrane shattered with a bang. Qiming took a deep breath, his face slightly pale. Using the Broken God charm had expended so much effort. It was no wonder that no one had set foot here in the past 10,000 years. "Miss Xian, please," Qiming said with a smile. His gaze was dark as he observed Xian Wuhan breaking the seal. Xian Wuhan stepped forward expressionlessly. Her red dress fluttered gently in the water. Coupled with her cold expression, she looked cold. She formed seals with her 10 fingers. She was as fast as a blur, and the shadow of a giant tiger formed behind her. Jingbing had a fearful expression. Soul-summoning technique? How could it be? This is a mysterious technique that only existed 10,000 years ago. It has long been lost. Where did this Xian Wuhan come from? Chapter 434. With a low roar, the 100-zhang tall giant tiger figure charged toward the second layer of the seal. The ripples on the water membrane began to shake, but it was far from breaking. But Xian Wuhan continued to weave signs. Numerous giant tiger figures appeared behind her, roaring as they charged toward the seal. This happened 5 times in a row, and after withstanding the impact of 9 black tiger shadows, the second layer of the restrictive spell finally broke with a cracking sound. Xian Wuhan returned expressionlessly, taking in a deep breath. It looked like she had expended quite a bit of spirit energy. Next was Jing Bing. What caused Su Yu to be slightly stunned was that his opponent was also an ice-based, strong martial artist. The moment he attacked, the entire seal shook violently, not any weaker than Xian Wuhan's. Qi Ming's expression turned serious. "Mr. Jing, you have great techniques. It looks like your ice-based techniques have been cultivated to the extreme, and you have formed the origin energy, right?" Jing Bing turned a deaf ear to Qi Ming. He focused on gathering cold energy in his palm, attacking the seal continuously. After half a cup of tea's time, the third layer of the seal was broken. Jing Bing had expended a lot of energy as well. Just 3 layers of the seal had caused the 3 seniors present to expend quite a bit of effort. Qi Ming had a delighted expression. "I'm afraid that Mr. Black Snow will have a hard time dealing with the last layer alone. Let the 3 of us do it together. That way we should be able to break the seal as quickly as possible." Xian Wuhan had no objections. After recovering, she stepped forward. But Jing Bing was a little unwilling. "Humph. In the end, don't I still have to do it?" But Su Yu, who was at the front, shook his head. "There's no need. I think I can do it alone." Su Yu looked at the last layer of the seal, his eyes filled with shock. Using his soul eyes, he realized that there seemed to be a broken piece of black armor floating on the other side of the seal. From what he could sense, the item was emitting a powerful spiritual pressure, no weaker than the mountain river dragon bow. This item was definitely a supreme treasure. Qi Ming froze, but he did not stop Jing Bing. He laughed. "That's fine. We'll let Mr. Black Snow try first. If it doesn't work, we can strike then." Jing Bing was happy to see this. He pursed his lips and stood at the same place with his hands behind his back, not moving forward. On the other hand, Xian Wuhan said thoughtfully, "Young Master Black Snow, I'm afraid it will be difficult for you to break it with your strength. Why don't I lend you a hand?" After saying those words, he walked over in a flash. Not good. This woman must have discovered something strange. Feeling slightly anxious, Su Yu pondered for a moment. The mark of the ice divine herb in his dantian emitted a pale, cold glow. A whiff of extremely cold air descended abruptly, encircling Su Yu's fists. The expressions of Qi Ming, who was secretly observing Su Yu, and the cold and arrogant Jing Bing changed at the same time. They shouted in shock, "Ice origin!" When the ice Tao was cultivated to the extreme, it was the origin. In the Zhenlong continent, in terms of coldness, there was no one who could surpass the original source. Its power was unimaginable. Bang! The last layer of the restriction didn't even shake much before it was easily destroyed. A wave of water swept out, stirring up the dust that had settled for 10,000 years, causing the entrance of the cave to be covered in mist. Seizing the opportunity, Su Yu's chest glowed with a black light. The broken armor that was floating at the entrance of the cave was quickly kept into the cosmos mirror. Whiz, at that moment, Xian Wuhan's petite figure flew over. With a wave of her hand, she swept away all the dust in the water, revealing the clean entrance of the cave. Her eyes flashed with suspicion, and she sized Su Yu up with a profound gaze. However, she did not say anything. Qi Ming and Jing Bing flew over with different emotions. The only thing they had in common was that their gazes towards Su Yu were filled with fear. In terms of the methods used to break the restriction, Su Yu, who looked the weakest, was actually an existence that was above the 3 of them. "Mr. Black Snow, you live up to your reputation," Qi Ming said. "You have actually managed to condense the energy of the origin and have cultivated the path of ice to its peak. I have a whole new level of respect for you." Qi Ming was full of praise. However, he intentionally maintained a distance of 50 feet from Su Yu. Su Yu said modestly, "It was just luck. How could I compare to the 3 of you?" The restriction has been broken. Let us enter quickly. Seeing that Su Yu was intentionally hiding the truth, they could not get to the bottom of it. They could only enter the cave together. Once they entered, they felt a ghostly aura, and the chill was bone-piercing. The cave was not deep. After a few hundred zhang of winding paths, they arrived at an extremely spacious palace. The palace was 10,000 zhang long and wide. The stone walls were adorned with many emerald green night pearls, illuminating the entire palace with a ghastly green light. It looked even more ghostly. In the center of the palace, there was a 10,000 zhang tall sacrificial altar. Surrounding the sacrificial altar, there were hundreds of stone pillars carved with unfamiliar symbols. Each stone pillar was connected by a black metal chain. The closer they got to the sacrificial altar, the thicker the ghostly energy became. This was especially the case when they reached the center of the sacrificial altar. The ghostly energy was so thick that it had a faintly discernible pitch-black color. Layers of black ghostly energy floated back and forth. Beneath the black ghostly energy, there was a small patch of dark green, 3-foot-long grass. There were about 7 or 8 of them. The undead herb of the netherworld. There are actually so many of them? Everyone present was shocked. 2 figures flew into the sky, grabbing at the undead herb of the netherworld. However, there were 2 figures that did not move. One of them was retreating without leaving a trace. Mr. Black Snow, the undead herb of the netherworld is right in front of you. Why are you not plucking it? If you are too late and it is taken by the 2 of them, the difficulty of retrieving the undead herb of the netherworld from their hands will be many times greater. Qi Ming looked at Su Yu in surprise, his tone a little strange. Not only did Su Yu not advance, but his expression was grave. His figure retreated quickly, fleeing toward the entrance of the palace. Jing Bing and Xian Wuhan, who were flying toward the sacrificial altar, felt Su Yu and Qi Ming's strange actions. Their hearts skipped a beat. Their expressions changed. The 2 of them forcefully twisted their bodies in midair, retreating instead of advancing, even though they were only tens of zhang away from the top of the sacrificial altar. Hee. Suddenly, an ear-piercing shriek of a ghost could be heard from within the sacrificial altar. The sound was extremely sinister. Su Yu, who was about to reach the entrance, suddenly felt the spirit energy in his body freeze, and he fell from the sky. Luckily, his physical body was strong and his reaction was fast. He rolled forward and landed successfully, after which, he escaped from the palace without looking back. Not good. Jing Bing and Xian Wuhan's expressions changed, and they retreated in a hurry. At that moment, the black symbols carved on the 190 stone pillars on the sacrificial altar emitted a black liquid, causing the stone pillars to shine with a black light. 2 stone pillars suddenly shot into the sky, heading toward the 2 of them. Jing Bing's expression changed drastically. His hands moved to form an extremely mysterious seal, and 3 ice clones appeared around him. The 3 clones stood in front of him, while his main body fled frantically. But the stone pillars swept past, and the 3 clones did not resist in the slightest. They were torn apart like pieces of paper. The main body of Jing Bing, who was fleeing, was struck by the stone pillars. He spat out a mouthful of blood, and his protective spirit energy was destroyed. At that moment, dozens of black tentacles as thick as fingers appeared from within the stone pillars, piercing into Jing Bing's body. With a pathetic cry, Jing Bing's body quickly withered, turning into a dried corpse. In an instant, a strong martial artist close to the level of human king had fallen. TSK, delicious. It's been a long time since I've tasted this delicacy. A sneer came from the depths of the altar. Rumble, rumble. The sacrificial altar shook and split into pieces, revealing a giant black shadow within the sacrificial altar. It was 10,000 zhang tall. Its entire body emitted a frightening murderous energy. Its outline was similar to that of a human, but its head was made up of 3 connected heads. 2 of the heads were shriveled, as if they had been petrified. Only the head in the middle was similar to the face of an Azura. It had a green face, fangs, and a threatening ghostly aura. Chapter 435. The Ghost King rolled his eyes and looked at Xian Wuhan, who was flying backward. They were both heaven masters, but the movement techniques that this woman displayed were exceptionally shocking. Although her expression was grave, she was very calm. She took out a transparent cloak that looked like a cicada's wings from her sleeve, and covered her body. Her right hand formed a seal, and a pair of wings made of wind appeared on her back. As the wings flapped, the air around them fluctuated. Her body seemed to have teleported as she flew backward 1,000 feet. The strange stone pillar whistled through the air, but it hit empty air. After flashing a few times, it successfully flew 10,000 feet away and reached the entrance of the palace. The cicada cloak that covered her body flashed with a misty crystal light, and her body turned into nothingness. Her aura also gradually disappeared. She had become invisible. The Ghost King's dark red eyes laughed savagely as he looked at the entrance of the palace. He was slightly surprised. A wind spiritual body. Hee, a rare spiritual body. It's a pity that you were born in the wrong place. If you were in Jojo, you would definitely be a rare spiritual body for cultivation. In the Void Realm, even the best spiritual body would find it difficult to break through the shackles of the fairy realm. And that lad just now seemed to be able to see through the sacrificial altar and discover me, who was sealed. Interesting. The Ghost King laughed. Then, his eyes drifted to Shopkeeper Chi, who was the only one left. He did not chase after them. At that moment, Shopkeeper Chi's expression was a little strange. He did not panic, and he did not even look surprised. It was as if he had already known that there was a frightening monster in the sacrificial altar. Hee. Ghostface snickered, and the 2 stone pillars attacked from the left and right, bombarding together. Qi Ming's expression was calm. He took out 2 broken god talismans and threw them over. The talismans, which were equivalent to the attacks of a human king, exploded and formed 2 extremely strong longswords. They struck the stone pillars fiercely. With a loud bang, the stone pillars were suppressed. However, dozens of tentacles shot out from the stone pillars once again, wrapping around the 2 longswords. A strange scene ensued. The 2 longswords were also swallowed by the tentacles. Qi Ming stood with his hands behind his back. Not only was he not afraid, but he even looked surprised. Not bad. It is indeed the Ghost King sealed by the Ghost Clan. It is rumored that the Ghost race's evil ghost bloodline comes from the Ghost King. It could even devour energy-formed swords. Its devouring ability was much more tyrannical than the evil ghost bloodline, which could only devour flesh and cultivation. The Ghost King's dark red eyes narrowed. Hee, interesting. You seem to know my background. I just don't know how confident you are to dare to appear in front of this king. With a swoosh, hundreds of tentacles shot out from the 2 stone pillars, flying towards Qi Ming. Qi Ming took a deep breath and took out a red rune from his bosom. There was a layer of flickering lightning circulating on it. As Qi Ming pinched his fingers, the rune exploded, and a ball of lightning burst forth. A 30-meter-long lightning snake pounced towards the stone pillar with a sharp whistle. Poochie, the tentacles, which could easily devour energy bodies, turned into smoke the moment they touched the lightning snake. The other tentacles also instinctively retreated, not daring to touch the lightning snake. Using lightning techniques to restrain evil ghosts? I have indeed made some preparations. Unfortunately, this kind of rune, which contains lightning, is the most difficult to create. I want to see how many lightning runes you can use. The Ghost King's thoughts moved, and 10 stone pillars charged forward. Under the pincer attack, even though the lightning snakes could restrain ghosts, they were no match for them. With a whimper, they dispersed on the spot. Qi Ming's expression changed slightly, and he let out a cold grunt. No need to put on an act. After being sealed for so long, you are merely a remnant soul. You do not even have the right to control this Ghost King's body. Activating 10 stone pillars is already your limit. After saying this, he flipped his palm and took out 5 red runes from his sleeve. They exploded, and 5 blood-colored lightning snakes roared, colliding with the 10 stone pillars. The area was in a state of confrontation. Within the cave, Su Yu's expression was a little gloomy as he stood at the entrance of the cave. The 4 layers of seals that they had broken previously had been restored in a short amount of time. They had been sealed within. After careful observation, Su Yu's expression turned even uglier. It was more than 3 times more difficult to break this kind of seal from the inside than from the outside. This was probably to prevent the ghosts that had been sealed from breaking the seal and escaping. With my abilities, it is not impossible to break the seal. I should be able to use my full power, but I might not have enough time, Su Yu muttered to himself. Hearing the continuous explosions behind him, his heart sank. The moment he saw the sacrificial altar, he could see the existence of the 10,000 feet tall ghost. The terrifying aura, which was not weaker than Xing Ji's, caused Su Yu to turn and flee without hesitation. But it was already too late. At that moment, Su Yu's heart moved. He turned his head to look at a spot 200 feet to his right, calmly saying, "Since Miss Xian is here, why are you still hiding?" There was not a single soul in that empty place. There was no movement at all. Su Yu creased his brows, lifting his finger to shoot a bit of spirit energy over. Thump! A fair palm suddenly extended, grabbing and extinguishing the spirit energy that was attacking him. Following that, Xian Wuhan's figure gradually appeared. Her cold and beautiful face was filled with shock. "I have underestimated you, to be able to see through my invisibility." Her heart was in turmoil. The cicada cloak's invisibility ability was extremely strong. Even a half-god would not be able to see through it, much less an immortal realm level 4. But Su Yu had actually discovered its existence. How could Xian Wuhan not be shocked? "Miss Xian, the situation is urgent," Su Yu said. "We cannot afford to be suspicious of each other. What methods do you have to quickly break this seal? We don't have much time left." Su Yu went straight to the point. Xian Wuhan's expression changed slightly. She was silent for a moment before saying, "It is not impossible to quickly break the seal. But I need some time." Su Yu said calmly, "If you need more than the time it takes to brew a cup of tea, there is no need to speak further." Xian Wuhan's eyes flickered. "Why? Are you confident that you can break the seal in the time it takes to brew a cup of tea?" In his heart, he couldn't help but feel shocked. Previously, when the 4 of them joined forces, they had taken the time it took to brew a cup of tea. Could Su Yu alone break the seal in the time it takes to brew a cup of tea? It was 3 times more difficult to break the seal from the inside than from the outside. This caused Xian Wuhan to be shocked. This Black Snow Devil King was mysterious and unfathomable. "No, what I mean is that we do not have the time it takes to brew a cup of tea." Su Yu's gaze flickered as he spoke ambiguously. Xian Wuhan looked at Su Yu deeply, nodding her head. "I do have a way to break the seal in the time it takes to brew a cup of tea. But the prerequisite is that I am not affected by anyone." Su Yu was elated. "If that is the case, I will do my best to buy time for Miss Xian." Su Yu's gaze flickered and he retreated quickly. He hid out of the cave, observing the battle at the altar from afar. Xian Wuhan was a little unwilling, but since things had come to this, she could only fight. Her expression changed several times. She clenched her teeth and cast her technique on the spot. Her long black hair gradually fell off, revealing a head of long, snow-white hair. The aura he gave off also rose rapidly from a heaven master to a human king, close to a demigod. Chapter 436. The seal began to break. On the sacrificial altar, the battle between the two reached its climax. Even though Qi Ming had countless precious runes, the Ghost King controlled 10 stone pillars and was undefeatable. As they fought, Qi Ming's expression gradually turned ugly. The lightning runes in his sleeves became fewer and fewer. Whoosh, he extended his palm and took out 3 lightning runes. These were his last 3. Hee, you prepared well, he said. 20 lightning runes. Even in the Zhenlong continent, there might not be more than 100 of them. Your generosity astonishes me. Qi Ming's expression was ugly. He had spent close to 20 years collecting these runes from all over the continent. He had spent a great deal of effort on each one. He had not expected to use them all up in the time it took to brew a cup of tea. The ferocity of the Ghost King had far exceeded his expectations. Even though the 20 lightning runes had destroyed more than half of the Ghost King's stone pillars, they had not harmed his core. If this continued, he would not be able to hold on for long. Biting his teeth, Qi Ming turned back and shouted, "Miss Xian? Sir Black Snow, if you do not attack now, when will you? I cannot hold on for long." Su Yu's expression was gloomy. He naturally did not want to fight the Ghost King head-on, but Xian Wuhan needed time. If Qi Ming was defeated, it would be even more difficult for him to deal with the Ghost King alone. After a moment, Su Yu made up his mind and flew over. The Ghost King laughed. "You are walking right into my trap." After saying this, a stone pillar flew toward Su Yu, hundreds of tentacles dancing on it. Without thinking, Su Yu took out his silver bow from afar and pulled out a long arrow that was flickering with flames. Whoosh, the fiery red arrow pierced through the air, shooting toward the Ghost King. The hundreds of tentacles were not afraid. They surged forward, wrapping around the arrow. The raging flames on the arrow were extinguished, swallowed by the tentacles. Qi Ming shouted, "Sir Black Snow, such an attack is useless. This Ghost King is an ancestor of the Ghost Clan. His engulfment ability can easily swallow all the energy in the Zhenlong continent. Only the power of lightning is his nemesis." Su Yu's gaze flickered. It was as if Manager Qi had already known that he was proficient in lightning. When he had appeared in the North Continent as the Black Snow Devil King, Su Yu had not displayed his lightning technique. This person had noticed that he possessed the Tao of lightning and purposely brought him here. In other words, it was very likely that the other party knew about the Ghost King sealed in the altar, but he was intentionally concealing it. He was secretly vigilant and on guard, but his expression did not change. He snorted slightly, "Is that so?" After the flames were extinguished, the arrow that was wrapped in flames was revealed. It was an arrow that was condensed from purple thunderbolts. Caught off guard, the tentacles wrapped around it were instantly annihilated. For a moment, lightning flashed in all directions, and the sky was filled with smoke and dust. Ghost King's expression turned solemn. "Thunder Path? I see. Humph, you're really well prepared. From the looks of it, his attainment in the way of thunder is not shallow. He is close to the quintessence." The Ghost King looked at Qi Ming again, his eyes suddenly turning cold. Qi Ming was secretly shocked. A lightning path that was close to the origin? From the looks of it, the Black Snow Devil King had not only perfected his Ice Tao and condensed the origin, but his Lightning Tao was also close to the origin. No, there was also the Fire Path. It didn't seem weak either. One person cultivated 3 Daos at the same time, and all of them were very profound. Even though he was surprised that Su Yu's Lightning Tao was stronger than he had expected, for some reason, he felt a little uneasy. Throwing away his uneasiness, Qi Ming tossed out 3 talismans, letting out a low grunt. "Mr. Black Snow, please delay him for a moment. Let me use a secret technique to kill this person." Su Yu's expression changed. Qi Ming had the ability to kill the Ghost King? From the aura he emitted, he was not much weaker than Xingguo. Even if he was only a remnant soul and the power he could unleash was limited, he was still a king of half-gods and below the fairy realm. The fact that Qi Ming had the confidence to kill him shocked Su Yu. Whoosh, Qi Ming took out a golden ring from his robes. There were many Sanskrit words carved on it, and it emitted a very strong Buddhist aura. A faintly discernible divine glow was continuously pulsing from it. The Ghost King's expression changed, and he gasped. A Buddhist treasure, the ghost-suppressing golden ring. He could not suppress the fear on his face. But after his gaze turned serious, he heaved a sigh of relief. He sneered. I was wondering how a Buddhist treasure could appear in the Void Realm. So it is only a broken item. 90% of its Buddhist aura has been lost. But Qi Ming laughed coldly. Even if only 10% of its Buddhist aura remains, it is still more than enough to imprison you. The Ghost King's expression turned serious. Humph. That is if you have the ability to suppress it. After saying this, the 10 stone pillars surrounded Su Yu and attacked. Su Yu's eyes flashed, and the silver bow in his hands shot out 10 arrows in an instant. The power of lightning it contained forced the 10 stone pillars to retreat. Qi Ming heaved a sigh of relief, then relaxed. He spat out a mouthful of blood, which landed on the golden ring. At once, the golden ring shone with a golden light. Sanskrit words reverberated, and faintly discernible Buddha figures surrounded the golden ring. As Qi Ming crazily channeled spirit energy into the ring, the golden light shone even brighter. The Sanskrit words became louder, and the Buddha figures gradually became clearer. The Ghost King's 10,000 zhang body trembled slightly, and it emitted black smoke continuously. The Ghost King's face showed signs of pain. Su Yu was shocked. What was the ghost-suppressing golden ring? Its ability to restrain ghosts was even greater than that of thunderbolts. Die! The Ghost King let out a ferocious roar. The 10 stone pillars shot into the sky, crashing toward Qi Ming. Su Yu repeated what he had done, standing at a safe distance and continuously shooting out thunderbolt arrows. No matter how powerful the stone pillars were, they could not break through the thunderbolt arrows. The Ghost King's dark red eyes were filled with deep hatred as he stared at Su Yu coldly. Lad, if you don't interfere in my affairs, I can spare your life. Otherwise, once I recover, I will make sure that you die a horrible death. The eerie ghost howl and the malicious gaze caused Su Yu to tremble in fear. But Su Yu's hands did not stop moving. He did not know if the Ghost King was trustworthy. Even if he was trustworthy, the Ghost King had only promised not to kill him. He had not promised not to cripple his cultivation base. After all, it was hard to believe that the Ghost King would let him off so easily. Seeing that Su Yu had no intention of compromising, the ghost-suppressing golden ring in Qi Ming's hands was about to be activated. His eyes glowed fiercely, and he let out a ferocious roar. Lad, you are asking for death. I will destroy you, even if it takes me 10,000 years to accumulate my power. The most important thing now was to kill Su Yu. Only then could he stop Qi Ming. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The immobile 10,000 zhang body stepped out from the sacrificial altar. Even though the movement was stiff, it had indeed moved. Qi Ming's expression changed in shock. You can control this body? Impossible? You know that it is only a remnant soul. The Ghost King let out a cold grunt. 10,000 years of accumulation is enough for me to control this body slightly. It is enough to kill the two of you. After saying this, he took a step towards Su Yu. His footsteps were extremely strange, containing the principles of space. Su Yu had clearly maintained a distance of 1,000 zhang. But the next moment, he had appeared in front of the giant head. A pair of dark red ghost eyes were filled with malice, as if 2 mountains were right in front of Su Yu. The ferocious mouth with crisscrossing fangs bit towards Su Yu ferociously. Chapter 437. Su Yu's expression changed. What kind of magical power was this? With the giant mouth in front of him, long-range weapons and arrows were useless. A black light flashed in front of his chest. Su Yu put away his silver bow and released a ring of lightning without hesitation. Compared to the lightning arrow from before, the power of this ring of lightning was 3 times stronger. It struck the giant mouth, causing the giant ghost's mouth to feel pain. A large amount of ghost energy was released. The giant ghost felt the pain, its mouth pausing momentarily. Seizing the opportunity, Su Yu retreated. In an instant, he had retreated hundreds of zhang, once again increasing the distance between them. Seeing that his attack had failed, the Ghost King became even more ferocious. Good. Very good. I did not expect you to have hidden a portion of the power of lightning. He glanced at the ghost-suppressing golden ring, which was about to be successfully activated. His Buddha nature was about to reach its peak. Fear flashed in his eyes. With a fierce glint, he suddenly opened his mouth and inhaled. Instantly, the ghostly aura in his mouth surged like a dark cloud and condensed into a black vortex. At that moment, Su Yu felt his soul tremble, as if his entire body was about to be sucked into the black vortex. His body was uncontrollable, sucked into the vortex like a falling leaf. It was as if he was facing Xingguo. Su Yu's expression changed. But at that moment, he realized that his spirit energy had been restricted, and he could not circulate it. Even the power of lightning that countered ghosts was greatly suppressed, unable to escape from his body. Roar! The Ghost King sensed danger, disregarding everything else to kill Su Yu. With a loud roar, the suction force of the vortex doubled. Su Yu knew that he was in danger, and he was being sucked into the vortex. Qi Ming, who was activating the ghost-suppressing golden ring, had a cold look in his eyes, a mocking smile on his face. The ghost-suppressing golden ring, which was still being activated, suddenly released a layer of suppression. It looked as if it had already been fully activated. The Ghost King did not have time to relax, his expression turning rigid. You already activated the golden ring? His face was filled with shock. That meant that the Ghost King had intentionally watched Su Yu die at his hands. It's good that you know. Qi Ming laughed coldly, but his palm did not stop. He raised his hand and tossed it into the air. Rise! In an instant, the ghost-suppressing golden ring glowed brightly. It was as if a sun had appeared in the dark green hall, illuminating everything in gold. The Ghost King let out a scream of fear, turning to escape of the hall. As strong as he was terrified of the ghost-suppressing golden ring. Qi Ming laughed coldly without saying a word. He pointed his finger at the Ghost King from afar, and the golden hoop turned into a beam of raging flames that struck the Ghost King. Upon contact, the Ghost King's 1,000-meter-tall body crumbled like a collapsing skyscraper, its flesh and blood turning into black ash. His 3,000-meter-tall body shrank and collapsed at a speed visible to the naked eye, accompanied by miserable screams. The Ghost King had disappeared without a trace, leaving behind only a 30-feet-tall evil ghost. Its outline was very similar to the Ghost King, but it was much smaller. The ghost Su of the King of the Three Heads of. The ghost of the Ring of the ghost. The eyes of the spirit. Of ghost of it of the three heads. You. The powerful Ghost King had been easily subdued. Qi Ming flew over. His face was pale and covered in sweat. He had a look of lingering fear. Thank goodness! With Master's treasure, the ghost-suppressing golden ring, as my trump card, I finally subdued the Ghost King. Qi Ming wiped his cold sweat and heaved a sigh of relief. He took out a picture scroll from his bosom. On it was a picture of an old man looking down at the world with his hands behind his back. In the picture, the old man in the picture had come to life. He turned back to look at the trapped Ghost King. His expression was calm, as if he was not surprised. My ghost-suppressing golden ring specializes in subduing ghosts of this level. It is not strange that it can subdue it. You were able to subdue it successfully this time because of the runes you prepared over the years. They used up much of the Ghost King's ghost chi. Otherwise, with your abilities, even with the ghost-suppressing golden ring, you might not have succeeded. Secondly, and the most important reason, that kid with the Thunder Dao was really unexpected. If not for the fact that his proficiency in the Thunder Dao far exceeded my expectations, he might not have been able to buy you enough time to activate the ghost-suppressing golden ring. Qi Ming had a deep understanding of this. The Ghost King had been through the ages. Being able to control the body of the Ghost King was unexpected. If not for the Black Snow Devil King blocking it and buying time, the situation might have been different. The chances of Qi Ming becoming the Ghost King's meal would have been extremely high. Master, could the Black Snow Devil King still be alive after being swallowed by the Ghost King? Qi Ming was suddenly worried. The Black Snow Devil King was stronger than he had expected, making him feel uneasy. The old man in the picture grunted. If a mere immortal level 4 like him could escape from the stomach of the Ghost King, then the name of the Ghost King does not live up to its name. There is another world in the stomach of the Ghost King. It contains an extremely dense ghost energy. Even a half-god would be killed by the ghost energy if he was swallowed, let alone him. Qi Ming was finally at ease. Master, how do we retrieve the mysterious heavenly map from the body of the Ghost King? The eyes of the old man in the picture glowed. To retrieve the mysterious heavenly map, we need to set up some spell formations. The process is a little complicated. We cannot stay here for long. Let's leave first. Qi Ming nodded. He grabbed the corpse of the Ghost King and flew toward the entrance of the cave. At that moment, the entrance of the cave rumbled. The 4 layers of seals were broken at the same time. The old man in the picture let out a gasp of surprise. To be able to break 4 layers of seals in the time it takes to brew half a cup of tea, this helper of yours seems to be extraordinary. Qi Ming's expression changed. Not good. If this woman spreads the news, it will not matter if my identity is exposed. But if your identity is exposed as well, then it will be extremely dangerous. A mere heaven master wants to escape from my hands. The old man in the picture let out a cold grunt. His body flickered, turning into a transparent shadow. He flew out of the scroll. Even though Xian Wuhan was breaking the spell, she was constantly paying attention to the battle behind her. Sensing that Su Yu had been swallowed, Xian Wuhan had a bad feeling. Luckily, she had broken the spell in time and managed to escape, but she had only escaped 1,000 feet when her pupils dilated. She looked at the transparent, elderly figure floating above the trench in shock. He was dressed in extremely simple and unadorned clothing. His face was extremely pale, and he was in a transparent state. It was extremely strange. At that moment, he was looking down at her with his hands behind his back. The invisibility of the cicada cloak was useless. Elder, Xian Wuhan said seriously. What is the meaning of this? The old man in the picture had an indifferent expression, as if he was looking at an ant. Since you have seen me, of course I am sending you on your way. After saying this, he waved his hand and sent a seal forward. A transparent, shapeless ripple shot toward Xian Wuhan. The ripple did not have any aura, but it contained a very obscure, terrifying power. Chapter 438. Her face was filled with fear, as if she had discovered something unbelievable. But at this critical moment, driven by her will to live, she grabbed at her chest and took out a snow-white ruler. The ruler was crystal clear and gave off a strong spiritual pressure. It was a top-notch mid-grade divine weapon that was no weaker than the mountain river dragon bow. At this moment, the image of a palm-sized snow lion circled around the snow-white ruler. The ruler was still activated. It was obvious that it had just been used. The old man in the painting was slightly surprised. Soul summoning technique? A top-notch mid-grade divine weapon and an ordinary heaven master. Your identity is not ordinary. Xian Wuhan did not speak. She activated the spiritual ruler, and the palm-sized snow lion instantly grew to a height of 10 zhang. The aura it gave off was far beyond that of a heaven master, reaching the level of a true human king. It was no wonder that she could break through 4 layers of seals in one go. The snow lion let out a fierce roar and flew against the soul attack. The old man in the painting had a mocking expression. He stood with his hands behind his back, unmoving. The soul attack passed through the snow lion without a sound. The human king-level snow lion whimpered, and its huge image dissipated into specks of crystal, disappearing into thin air. The ripples of the soul attack did not slow down. They hit Xian Wuhan, who could not dodge in time. With a scream, Xian Wuhan hugged her head and groaned. Her expression was one of extreme pain. Then, her body strangely split apart, turning into pieces of spiritual energy. Only the cicada cloak and the spiritual ruler were left, falling into the depths of the trench. The old man in the painting's expression froze. Demigod incarnation! Qi Ming chased after them and caught the two treasures. Seeing the old man's serious expression, he could not help but ask, "Master, where is Xian Wuhan?" The old man in the painting was silent for a moment, then said seriously, "Tell me again, how did you find this woman?" Qi Ming knew that something was off. He said simply, "She is a warrior who passed by Blue Billow Island half a month ago. I saw that she was alone and seemed to be a traveler. If she died here, it would not attract much attention. That was why I invited her to join the team." After hearing this, the old man in the painting's eyes flickered. After a moment, he waved his sleeves and urged, "Leave this place immediately. We can't afford to provoke this woman for now." Regardless of whether it was the soul-summoning technique that had been lost for thousands of years or her half-god realm cultivation, she and the forces behind her were not people that I could provoke at the moment. Xian Wuhan's name is most likely fake. If I hadn't encountered a great calamity and my cultivation had fallen to this level, why would I be afraid of a mere demigod? The old man in the painting frowned and snorted before entering the painting in a flash. Demigod? Qi Ming was startled. The Xian Wuhan that he had seen previously was actually Xian Wuhan's incarnation. A mere incarnation was already so powerful. If the main body were to descend without another word, Qi Ming swept up the scroll painting and the Ghost King, turned into a remnant shadow, and fled the place. At the same time, in a cave somewhere on an island, a cold and aloof woman sat cross-legged. She was beautiful and wore an exquisite long robe. Her appearance was extremely similar to Xian Wuhan's. Suddenly, Xian Wuhan opened her eyes and a cold light shone from them. Her colorful eyes were as clear as water, yet they emitted a deep coldness, giving her an extra sense of coldness. Humph! Soul-body. According to what I know, only fairy realm fighters can separate their souls from their bodies. Xian Wuhan's expression was cold. "This time, I was careless and fell into your trap. If my main body were to meet you, I would destroy both your body and soul." After saying this, she closed her eyes once again. She did not head toward the oceanic trench for revenge. Thinking about it, even if the other party had discovered her incarnation, she would not have remained where she was. Ghost energy filled the Ghost King's body. Su Yu fell into it, feeling the cold ghost energy invade his body continuously. This caused his already stagnant spirit energy to be unable to circulate. He could only allow the ghost energy to invade his body. His body gradually turned cold. Soon, his blood would cool down and stop flowing. His life would come to an end. Su Yu's heart trembled. The situation before him was extremely dangerous. If he did not use spirit energy to protect his body, he would not last more than a cup of tea's time. But the ghost energy in this place was extremely suppressive. Not only was spirit energy restricted, even the lightning that was used to restrain the ghost energy was restricted. How could he still use spirit energy to protect his body in such a situation? Just as he was in danger, Su Yu's mind flashed. A black light flashed on his chest, and a broken black armor flickered in front of him. The armor was ancient and its design was simple. It was not an item from the current era. There was a huge hole on the chest area of the armor. It was as if something had dug into the armor and crushed the heart. The armor had been pierced through from front to back. Su Yu touched the armor subconsciously. An extremely hard feeling welled up in his heart. When he exerted a bit of force, not only did he not move the material of the armor, but he also felt pain from his fingertips. Long-cherished wish felt startled. His physical body had already reached the level of a sovereign personage. However, the armor before him was extraordinarily tough. Looking at it carefully, Suyu realized that there was a groove at the center of the armor. There was a fiery red crystal embedded in it. It emitted a faint warmth, expelling the cold feeling in Suyu's body. The moment it touched the crystal, a wisp of fiery red gas was released from the crystal. Suyu froze. He was shocked. This is vital energy. The crystal was filled with vital energy that the Zhenlong continent did not have. At the same time, the black armor seemed to have been activated. It trembled and buzzed, emitting layers of black light. The ghost chi in the surroundings dissipated after coming into contact with the black light. Even the ghost energy in Suyu's body seeped out of his pores, dispersing. Suyu was overjoyed. His eyes flashed as he put on the armor. At once, the surrounding ghost energy dissipated. Phew! That was close. Luckily, I had this armor. Suyu caressed the mysterious armor, feeling extremely lucky. If not for the fact that he had secretly taken it away at the entrance of the cave, he would have been in grave danger. But things were not over yet. Finding a way to leave this place was of utmost importance. Looking around, Suyu realized that this place seemed to be a space of its own. It was only a few thousand feet wide, but it was filled with ghost energy. Even his soul eyes could not see through it. Finding the exit would require some time. With the armor protecting him, Suyu felt much more at ease. He patiently and carefully searched the ghost energy. But after searching for a long time, he could only touch the soft and wriggling inner wall. He could not find the exit. What worried Suyu was that the glow of the crystal in the center of the armor was gradually dimming. The ghost energy had surrounded it once again. I'm afraid that this armor will not last much longer. I have to leave quickly. Suyu's heart turned cold and he thought to himself. Right at that moment, Suyu caught a glimpse of a white light flashing by. Turning his head to take a look, he saw a broken scroll emitting a gentle white glow. It was floating in the ghost fog like a stream of water. The glow it emitted was extremely strange. It could penetrate the ghost fog and light up a radius of 100 feet. Suyu's eyes flashed. He flew over and grabbed the scroll. Chapter 439. Confused, Suyu had no time to look at it. Using the light emitted by the scroll, he began to search for the exit. Time passed slowly. Suyu did not know how long he had been in this space, until he found a cave above his head. A wisp of faintly discernible aura from the outside world slowly seeped into the cave from the entrance. This was most likely the exit. Suyu wore a joyful expression. He was about to enter when he heard the faint sounds of a conversation. Deep underground, on a deserted island, Qi Ming and the elder in the painting sat opposite each other. Between them was the three-zhang tall body of the Ghost King. I will use a spell to send you into the Ghost King's body. The vital energy I have injected into your body will ensure that you can withstand the ghost energy for a Joss Sticks time. Within that time, you must find the mysterious heavenly map. If you cannot, there is no need for you to return. The elder in the painting tapped Qi Ming's forehead, injecting a shred of spirit energy. Qi Ming was shocked. Yes, Master. If I can help you recover your cultivation level, I am willing to die. Humph. Back then, you were willing to be my servant because you were imprisoned by me and wanted to enter Jojo through me, right? Don't worry, if you succeed, I can naturally bring you into Jojo. The elder in the painting let out a light grunt. All right, I will begin the spell. With a low grunt, the ground the three of them were standing on released waves of light. From the Ghost King's chest, a steaming ghost chi emerged, forming a palm-sized vortex. Qi Ming's body flickered, then was swallowed by the vortex. Whoosh! When Qi Ming entered, he discovered that the ghost chi was turbulent and had an absolute suppression on spiritual chi. A shred of vital energy within his body protected him from being affected. Is this the body of the Ghost King? With such ghost energy, the Black Snow Devil King will definitely die. If I can find the mysterious heavenly map, I can search for his corpse. It is rumored that he has a few treasures on him that can shake the continent, especially that high-grade divine artifact. However, at this moment, a light and indifferent voice suddenly sounded in his ears. "Thank you for your concern, shopkeeper Chi. I am afraid that I will have to disappoint you and not die here." Chi Ming's body stiffened, his expression turning pale. He cried out involuntarily, "Black Snow Devil King! You are not dead? Impossible!" Shwar, as the ghost fog moved, a passageway was formed, and a person's figure appeared. It was Su Yu. Chi Ming's expression flickered. When he saw the glowing scroll in Su Yu's hand, his pupils shrank. "Young Master Black Snow, what are you talking about? I'm relieved that you're not dead." Shopkeeper Chi's expression changed from one of shock to one of warmth. "If you were really dead, I would feel uneasy instead." Su Yu wore a faint smile. "Is that so?" Chi Ming said embarrassedly, "Haha, since young Master Black Snow is fine, follow me and leave this place. Miss Xin is still waiting for you outside." When he finished speaking, he naturally walked forward and grabbed Su Yu's shoulder. It seemed like he wanted to take him away. But just as he was about to get close, his genial face suddenly changed, turning into a hideous expression. His palm also turned into a claw and grabbed at his wrist. "Shopkeeper Chi, what is the meaning of this?" Su Yu retreated and dodged. Chi Ming laughed coldly. "Since you're not dead, of course I'll send you on your way." "Really?" At that moment, Chi Ming realized that the faint smile on Su Yu's face had turned into a grave and stern expression. Chi Ming's heart skipped a beat. He had a bad premonition, but thinking of the difference in their abilities, as well as the suppression of spirit energy in this place, he suppressed his unease and grabbed Su Yu's wrist. His 5 fingers exerted force, wanting to seize Su Yu's pulse and control him. But when he really exerted force, he realized with shock that it was as if he was grabbing a piece of steel. No matter how much force he exerted, he could not move Su Yu at all. "You? What's wrong with your body? What happened to your body?" Chi Ming sucked in a breath of cold air. He loosened his grip as if he had been electrocuted. But in the darkness, Su Yu's hand quickly caught up to Chi Ming. He grabbed Chi Ming's arm. His grave and stern face was filled with murderous intent. "It seems like. It looks like you've squeezed enough." When he finished speaking, his 5 fingers exerted force. With a cracking sound, Chi Ming's bones cracked. Chi Ming let out a pathetic cry, trying his best to break free from Su Yu and escape. But Su Yu's hands were like giant pincers, holding him firmly. You want to kill me?" Chi Ming was shocked. Su Yu calmly said, "What do you think?" Chi Ming's heart was in his throat, his eyes filled with fear. "Wait. My master is outside. Even if you kill me, you might not be able to leave alive. If you swear to let me go, I can plead on behalf of my master to let you go. In any case, I am still of use to you. There is no benefit in killing me. But if you don't kill me, you can still live." Su Yu nodded. "That makes sense." Chi Ming heaved a sigh of relief. All of a sudden, Su Yu made his move and broke the man's neck. This person was cunning. It was unwise to team up with him. Furthermore, since he was a servant, what right did he have to plead on behalf of his master? After confirming Chi Ming's death, Su Yu casually searched his body, but found nothing. As the shopkeeper of the Golden Light Pavilion, it is surprising that he is so poor. Su Yu curled his lips. With a flick of his finger, a small fireball burned Chi Ming's body to ashes. Just as Su Yu turned to leave, he suddenly realized that there was a fine strand of hair within the ashes. It was completely undamaged. Su Yu was certain that it was not a strand of hair. It was a treasure that could withstand high temperatures. He extended his hand and held the strand of hair in his palm. Turning his gaze, Su Yu used a thread of weak soul energy to wrap around the strand of hair. At once, the soul energy was sucked into an unfamiliar space. It was extremely narrow, only the size of a bag. It was not even half as big as the cosmos mirror. But the narrow space was filled with all sorts of treasures. 9 complete immortal level techniques. 5 to 6 divine artifacts. There were all sorts of runes, including the broken god rune that Su Yu had seen before, as well as 2 fiery red lightning runes. Other than that, there were 7 to 8 bottles of extraordinary elixirs. Such a vast collection was 5 to 6 times richer than Su Yu's. Oh, Xen Wuhan's cicada cloak. Su Yu suddenly realized that there was an item that belonged to Xen Wuhan among the divine artifacts. His expression changed slightly and became a little grave. Xen Wuhan is a very mysterious woman. Her strength is probably not inferior to a real human king. However, even she died. I'm afraid that the person who killed her is not Qi Ming, but the master he spoke of. Thinking about it carefully, Su Yu could roughly guess the abilities of the master. A half-god. If he was a fairy realm fighter, why would he bother to deal with the Ghost King? Only a half-god could kill Xien Wuhan. His heart sank. Even though Su Yu had the experience of fighting a half-god, that was after borrowing Xing Ji's power. It would be extremely difficult for him to defeat his opponent in a one-on-one fight. Thinking about it, Su Yu's mind spun. He calculated the outcome of his fight with the master, his expression flickering. Chapter 440. The old man in the painting sat cross-legged, and a golden Buddhist bead floated in front of him. The Buddhist bead was engraved with complicated Sanskrit characters, and it emitted a strong Buddhist aura. Anyone who was swept by the Buddhist light would feel calm, and it would make people worship it. It was as if their souls were being baptized by Buddha. The spiritual pressure emitted by the Buddhist bead was even more shocking, far surpassing the level of a divine weapon. It could even compete with the Cosmos Thunder Sword. Compared to it, the ghost-suppressing golden ring was inferior. Under the golden light of the Buddhist bead, the imprisoned Ghost King's body twisted in pain, and it emitted a strong ghostly aura. Suddenly, he opened his eyes. Were there any signs of unconsciousness in his eyes? His eyes were filled with ferociousness. The old man in the painting laughed coldly. Not pretending to be unconscious anymore? The ghost-suppressing golden ring can naturally make a normal Ghost King fall into a coma and never wake up again. But you are not a normal Ghost King. How could I have overlooked this? This person already knew that after the Ghost King was imprisoned, he pretended to be unconscious and waited for the other party to relax, and then take the opportunity to attack. The Ghost King let out a painful roar. Who are you? Forget about the ghost-suppressing golden ring, you even have a Buddhist relic. Even a true Buddhist disciple can't possibly have 2 inferior spiritual weapons at the same time. The old man in the painting said calmly, "You don't have to worry about that." Then, he pointed at the Buddhist bead, and with a swoosh, the Buddhist bead drilled into the Ghost King's forehead. Ah! You want to use the Buddhist relic to control me? Don't even think about it. The Ghost King roared, and a ghost chi whirlpool appeared between his eyebrows to block the Buddhist bead's invasion. The old man in the painting smiled mockingly. You overestimate yourself. His 10 fingers rotated, and the Buddhist relic turned into a golden ball. It broke through the resistance of the whirlpool and entered the whirlpool. Only then did the old man in the painting stop forming hand seals. He heaved a sigh of relief. This Buddhist relic will exist in your inner world. As long as I think about it, the Buddhist power in the relic will explode, and you will instantly turn into ashes. So, you should know what to do next. The Ghost King's face was filled with deep hatred, but more than that, fear. After struggling for a while, he unwillingly lowered his head. Green ghost pays respect to master. The old man in the painting smiled. Very good. As expected of a ghost that has cultivated for many years. Your life is more important than your dignity. There's no need to say more about this. Ghost King's heart was filled with hatred, but there was no longer any disrespect on his face. Qin Gui doesn't dare. Humph. I know what you are thinking in your heart. Don't worry. When I return to Jojo, I will naturally let you live. Now, just do your best to help me enter the mysterious Heavenly Divine Pavilion and take the opportunity to return to Jojo. Ghost King rolled his eyes, respectfully replied, "As Master commands." "All right, now wait for my other servant to extract the heavenly secret map from your body," the old man in the painting said indifferently. After thinking for a while, he said, "Remove the ghost-suppressing golden ring from your body first. I'm just a spirit body, I need protection." "Many thanks, Master." The Ghost King was ecstatic as he respectfully stood behind the old man. The old man in the painting nodded his head and raised his hand. The ghost-suppressing golden ring on the Ghost King's body gradually loosened, turning back into a golden ring the size of a palm and floating in the air. Just as the old man in the painting raised his hand and was about to retrieve the golden ring, a ghost energy whirlpool suddenly appeared on the Ghost King's abdomen. The old man in the painting was slightly surprised. "It seems to be faster than I expected. You found the mysterious heavenly secret map so quickly?" However, the eyes of the old man in the painting suddenly froze. "That's not right." From within the whirlpool, a huge flame rushed out and headed straight for the old man, who was just inches away. At first, the old man was stunned. Then, his expression turned cold. "Humph! I have underestimated you. You are still alive after being in the Ghost King's body for 3 days. After his speech, a formless ripple filled the air, ignoring the flame. It passed through the air and shot towards the person in the whirlpool who was about to escape. A horrible shriek could be heard. Then, a crimson figure could be seen stumbling out of the whirlpool. Then, without saying a word, it broke through the ground and escaped quickly. The old man in the painting let out a soft gasp of surprise. "You did not die from my soul attack?" Even a strong martial artist like Xian Wuhan's soul had been destroyed in an instant. Without saying a word, the old man slammed his palms on the ground. Then, his whole body shot up into the air. With a shocking speed, he charged towards the ground and chased after the person who was escaping. However, just as the old man left, another whirlpool appeared on the Ghost King's abdomen. A red-haired young man, who was dressed in a moon-white long robe, ran out wildly. The moment he came out, he grabbed the ghost-suppressing golden ring, which was still floating in the air and had not been retrieved in time. Then, he turned into a fragmentary shadow and escaped into the sky. However, just as he was about to break through the ground, a wind shadow flashed above his head. A translucent old man was standing in the air with his hands clasped behind his back. He looked down coldly and wore a disdainful smile. "You want to use such a small trick to distract me?" Su Yu's clone had not been able to deceive the old man. "If you had hidden in the world within the Ghost King's abdomen, I would not have been able to do anything to you. However, since you have come out, you are seeking your own death." The old man in the painting did not say a word. His eyes shot out a formless ripple of radiation. It was this ripple that had destroyed Xian Wuhan's clone in an instant. Su Yu was caught off guard and could not avoid the soul attack. However, what caused the expression of the old man in the painting to change was that his soul attack was like a clay ox entering the sea. He did not feel like he had harmed the other party's soul in the slightest. "Who are you?" The old man's expression turned serious. At the same time, he secretly ordered the Ghost King to attack. The Ghost King's dark red eyes glowed fiercely. Its ghostly claws slammed down abruptly. A frightening power, second only to that of the fairy realm, swept toward Su Yu. Su Yu's body shivered. Without hesitation, he used the short-distance wings and flew into the sky. The old man in the painting had a sinister expression. He pressed down with both hands. A soul attack that was far stronger than the one just now transformed into a formless giant palm and slammed toward Su Yu's soul. However, what caused the old man in the painting to be shocked was that Su Yu's figure merely flickered before he charged toward him, as if nothing had happened. The old man's soul attack had no effect on Su Yu. The old man was shocked, instinctively dodging. Su Yu took the opportunity to escape into the sky. In the blink of an eye, his figure disappeared among the green clouds. Qin Gui, chase after him immediately, the old man in the painting ordered. Qin Gui's eyes glowed. A black cloud appeared beneath his feet, carrying him away with a terrifying speed. The old man in the painting had a glint in his eyes, but he did not give chase. His eyes glowed with shock and uncertainty. Could that youth be a puppet? My soul attack actually didn't have the slightest effect. It looks like Qi Ming has most likely been killed. That mysterious heavenly map is most likely in the hands of this person. And the ghost-suppressing golden ring. How preposterous! This old man's Buddhist supreme treasure was actually stolen away in passing. The old man's expression was filled with murderous intent. I have prepared it for decades, but it was all stolen by that brat. If not for the fact that I only have soul attacks, I would have personally killed that brat. Above the sea, a pair of green wings cut through the horizon. Behind it, a black cloud cut through the sky in pursuit. A man and a ghost chased each other crazily above the vast sea. Chapter 441. Su Yu's expression turned serious as he flew in the direction of the Heavenly Law Alliance's battleship. He had thought that he would be facing a mysterious half-god, but the Ghost King had been enslaved. Having seen the terror of the Ghost King, Su Yu's heart trembled. Die! The dark cloud beneath the Ghost King's feet was shockingly fast. It did not take long for it to catch up to Su Yu. It opened its mouth and spat out 2 stone pillars. Su Yu's heart sank. Most of his purple thunder needed to suppress the greenish-white thunder in his body. He could only use a small portion of it. The purple thunder he could use in the sacrificial altar had been used up. If he used the purple thunder again, the suppressed greenish-white thunder would explode. The outcome would be worse than death. Thinking for a moment, Su Yu tossed out a red talisman he had obtained from the space storage device in Qi Ming's hair. A bolt of red thunder shot toward the Ghost King. The Ghost King's body glowed with ghost energy, turning into a giant shield that blocked the thunder. But Su Yu took the opportunity to increase the distance between them. The Ghost King let out a cold grunt, determined Su Yu's direction, and chased relentlessly. The two of them chased for half a day, traversing tens of thousands of miles of ocean. After escaping for some time, the spirit energy in Su Yu's body gradually depleted. His heart sank. He still had a few Frost Moon Dew pills that Phoenix Master Chiu had given him, which could replenish his spirit energy in time. But the Ghost King was relentless in his pursuit, and the pills would run out sooner or later. Escaping like this was not a solution. Su Yu's eyes flashed. While he still had some spirit energy, he retracted his wings and turned around, preparing for battle. The abilities of the Ghost King were not something an Azura could compare to. Su Yu guessed that even the 3 half-gods of the Heavenly Law Alliance might not be able to defeat this ghost in a one-on-one fight. Su Yu might have to use the only vital energy crystal in his body to activate the Cosmos Thunder Sword. With a thought, the Cosmos Mirror opened a crack. Just as it opened, a bolt of shocking sword energy shot into the sky, creating a 1,000-foot mark on the surface of the sea in front of him. The Ghost King, who had chased after Su Yu with a ferocious smile, suddenly froze. Not only did it stop its pursuit, it retreated 1,000 feet, looking at Su Yu with shock. A lightning-based, semi-manufactured spiritual artifact? Who are you? Amir Jr. from the Void Zone actually possesses a semi-manufactured spirit weapon. The Ghost King was unusually serious. Su Yu's heart moved, and he suppressed the sword energy of the Cosmos Thunder Sword. His face turned cold. Is there a need for me to tell you? The Ghost King's eyes flickered and he started to ponder. After a while, he retracted his killing intent and the ghostly aura around him. he asked with a deep meaning. Do you need the undead herb of the netherworld? Suyu was slightly surprised. What are you trying to say? The Ghost King stood with his arms folded, his eyes gleaming. Of course it is to make a deal with you. I'll give you the undead herb of the netherworld, and you'll help me kill that old man. The Ghost King's eyes flashed. Suyu stroked his chin, slightly tempted. This person is a soul body, and he has many strange tricks up his sleeves. I might have to exhaust all of my trump cards to kill him. Once that's the case, I'm afraid you'll be able to take advantage of the situation and get rid of me as well, right? Ghost King chuckled. You don't necessarily need to make a move now. With your abilities that are not weaker than a human king, I believe that the mysterious Heavenly Divine Pavilion will definitely participate. There are many dangers there, and there will be many opportunities to kill him. As long as you agree to help me kill him, the undead herb of the netherworld will be yours. Suyu was moved. After weighing the pros and cons, he nodded his head. All right, I agree. However, I need 2 undead herb of the netherworld. Laughing heartily, the Ghost King opened his mouth and spat out 2 strands of black hair. The undead herb of the netherworld was the hair on the Ghost King's head. That's easy. Now that I'm being controlled by that old man, all my treasures will belong to him sooner or later, so what's the harm in giving them to you? The Ghost King did not mind. At the same time, he spat out a yellowish scroll. It was the scroll of the Heart's Oath. With the scroll of the Heart's Oath, the Ghost King was not afraid that Suyu would dare to break his promise. After completing the oath, Suyu obtained 2 stalks of undead herb of the netherworld, and the 2 of them came to an agreement. The Ghost King was satisfied and laughed. Good. Mysterious Heavenly Divine Pavilion, I look forward to working with you. After saying this, with a flash of light, he tore off one of his arms, pretending to be heavily injured. Only then could he fool the old man. I'll give you this arm of the Ghost King as well. Your body seems to have some of my bloodline. The blood essence of the Ghost King in this arm can purify your bloodline and strengthen the abilities of the evil ghost bloodline. This is something that the descendants of the Ghost Clan can only dream of. The Ghost King laughed. Suyu was surprised. He grabbed the arm with one hand and looked at the blood flowing in his arm. His body felt hot, and a feeling of excitement welled up in his heart. You will only be able to kill that old man if your abilities increase. The Ghost King's body was filled with ghost energy, turning into a cloud and floating away. Suyu looked around. After making sure that no one had noticed him, he kept his arm, turned around, and left. Tens of thousands of miles away, the Ghost King, who was within the black cloud, had a cunning look in his eyes. Is my blood that useful? If you really use it to purify your bloodline, it would be equivalent to planting a seal on you. With just a thought, I could control your life and death. Following which, Suyu went to the vicinity of the Heavenly Law Alliance as promised. Phoenix Master Chio had been waiting for him for a long time. I haven't seen you in half a month, and the spirit energy seems to have become much purer. How is it? Have you found the whereabouts of the undead herb of the netherworld? Suyu sighed. I only managed to find some clues. I'm afraid the chances of me cultivating the evil-destroying divine eyes are slim. It was not convenient for him to tell anyone about the Ghost King. Phoenix Master Chio did not doubt him. The undead herb of the netherworld was a precious item. If Suyu found it, she would be suspicious. Don't be discouraged. Phoenix Master Chio consoled him, then solemnly took out a jade box. I have not let you down. The Dragon Abyss Elixir has been successfully made. Suyu was overjoyed. The Dragon Abyss Elixir had been successfully made. Thank you, Phoenix Master Chio, Suyu said gratefully. After conversing for some time, he left in a flash, heading toward the Dragon Abyss of the 9 underworlds to keep his appointment. He had just left when a beautiful woman in luxurious clothes flew over from the horizon. Her entire body was cold, like an icy beauty. Phoenix Master Chio's eyes narrowed, but she soon revealed a courteous expression and quietly waited. Miss Wuxin, the Alliance Master has been waiting for a long time. Why did he return half a month later? Long Wuxin was Long Juexin's daughter, and she was known as the peerless genius who was most likely to break through to the fairy realm. Long Wuxin flew down and glanced at Phoenix Master Qiu. She did not have much respect for her. Yes, I was delayed by something. Phoenix Master Qiu, you are in charge of the intelligence department. Do you know the origins of the Black Snow Devil King? Phoenix Master Qiu was secretly shocked. What had happened to Long Wuxin when she was traveling in the outside world? Once he returned, he immediately inquired about the Black Snow Devil King. This person's appearance is very mysterious. We can't find out his exact details yet. But he just left. What? He's still alive? Long Wuxin's cold eyes shrank, and she was bewildered in her heart. The other party had obviously been swallowed by the Ghost King, so why was he still alive? Phoenix Master Qiu was secretly astonished. It seemed like something had happened between Long Wuxin and the Black Snow Devil King. Long Wuxin's eyes flickered, and she said in a grave voice, "Phoenix Master Qiu, please do your best to gather information about the Black Snow Devil King." Chapter 442. In the battleship, Xia Jingyu rested for half a month, replenishing her spiritual energy and stamina. After bidding farewell to Phoenix Master Qiu, she hesitated for a moment before heading to Qin Xian'er's room. Sister Yu. Seeing that it was Lord Yu, Qin Xian'er threw herself into Lord Yu's embrace with a face full of surprise, smiling coquettishly. After spending half a month together, the relationship between the two quickly warmed up. Xia Jingyu felt helpless as she looked at the petite Qin Xian'er in her arms. "I'm here to bid farewell to you." Xia Jingyu rubbed her head affectionately and sighed. Qin Xian'er's eyes dimmed, and she felt a little lonely. However, it was quickly covered up by a cheerful smile. "Hee, we will meet again very soon. Master has asked me to enter the mysterious Heavenly Divine Pavilion. I will be able to see Sister Yu there." Hearing this, Xia Jingyu smiled and said, "Train well. When we meet in the mysterious Heavenly Divine Pavilion, we might draw our swords against each other. At that time, I will not be merciful." Hee, Sister Yu has never seen me in action. You might not be able to defeat me." Qin Xian'er smiled mysteriously. "Oh right." Qin Xian'er suddenly thought of something. She clumsily took out a black book from her pocket. It was the Starry Sky Heavenly Book. It recorded everything that Xia Jingyu had seen and heard after she came to the continent. The seal on the book had not been opened yet, which meant that Qin Xian'er had not opened it before. "Sister Yu, please pass this book to Brother Su Yu personally." Qin Xian'er handed the book over. Her eyes were clear and filled with smiles. Seeing that the book had not been stolen, Xia Jingyu looked at Qin Xian'er with a gentler gaze. She was silent for some time, but did not retract the book. Instead, she let out a relieved laugh. "All that I can see is inside. I do not know if I will survive this trip to the mysterious Heavenly Divine Pavilion. If you survive, please continue to help me pass it to Su Yu." Qin Xian'er wrinkled her nose. "Sister Yu, you are too good to Brother Su Yu." Xia Jingyu smiled, but there was a trace of bitterness in her heart. So what if he was good? They were destined not to be together in this life. However, when Xia Jingyu lowered her head and looked at Qin Xian'er's innocent face, she couldn't help but tease her. "Xian'er, won't you have any thoughts about how I treat Brother Su Yu? Aren't you afraid that I'll snatch Brother Su Yu away?" Qin Xian'er froze, tilting her head seriously. After thinking for a while, she asked curiously, "Why does Sister Yu want to snatch Su Yu away? Sister, do you also like Brother Su Yu?" Xia Jingyu's face became slightly flushed, and she forced a smile. "What if, and I'm just saying, what if I really like you?" Hearing this, Qin Xian'er slightly pursed her lips, while her small hands held the Starry Sky Heavenly Book tightly. She lowered her head, as if she was struggling and hesitating about something. After a long while, she raised her head and squeezed out a bright smile. You can like brother Su Yu together with me. I won't mind, really. Xia Jingyu revealed a loving smile and squatted down to pat her head. How could she not see Qin Xian'er's struggle and hesitation? Which woman in the world would be willing to share her man? Qin Xian'er probably couldn't bear to reject him for the sake of the Starry Sky Almanac. Therefore, he would rather suffer grievances and agree against his will. Don't worry, I also have someone I like, so I won't fight with you over brother Su Yu. Xia Jingyu chuckled. Qin Xian'er blushed, lowered her head, and said shyly, I really don't mind, but her voice became softer and softer, showing her guilt. Xia Jingyu smiled but did not say anything. After thinking for a while, she took out a dozen or so complete dragon abyss fruits from her bosom. Previously, she had taken some during the battle with the Shura, so she had 20 more. Qin Xian'er seemed to be missing 1 or 2 more dragon abyss fruits, so the extra ones were useless to her. I'll leave them for you. Before entering the mysterious Heavenly Divine Pavilion, try your best to break through to Heaven Master. Only then will you have the ability to protect yourself. Qin Xian'er was overjoyed. Thank you, Sister EU. After getting to know each other, Qin Xian'er did not stand on ceremony, accepting all of the fruits in one go. Other than one, which she placed in her left pocket, she placed the rest in her right pocket. Xia Jingyu was a little surprised. Xian'er, I have a question that I've wanted to ask since we were in the Dragon Abyss. Why did you split the Dragon Abyss fruits you obtained into 2 pockets? Qin Xian'er hesitated for a moment, then mysteriously closed the doors and windows, pouring out all of the Dragon Abyss fruits from the 2 pockets. The left pocket was mostly filled with broken Dragon Abyss fruits, while the right pocket was filled with 10 complete Dragon Abyss fruit. Xia Jingyu understood, smiling as she praised, very smart. The Dragon Abyss elixirs made from broken Dragon Abyss fruits would most likely lose their effectiveness. Making them separately would ensure the most complete Dragon Abyss elixirs. Unexpectedly, Qin Xian'er sat in front of the table, guarding the table full of Dragon Abyss fruits as if she was guarding a treasure. She shook her head vigorously. No, the broken Dragon Abyss fruits are for me. The complete Dragon Abyss fruits are for Brother Su Yu. Brother Su Yu is cultivating alone. Without good resources, it must be very difficult. Hence, I want to leave the best for Brother Su Yu. Hee, that's right. I still have many elixirs that can increase one's cultivation level from my master. I will give them to Brother Su Yu when the time comes. Qin Xian'er said, her small face brimming with happiness. At that moment, Xia Jingyu looked at that smile. Her eyes were piercing, and her soul was deeply shaken. One of the 2 pockets had been prepared for Su Yu. She had brought Su Yu with her all the time. Xia Jingyu smiled weakly, muttering to herself, I really don't have a chance. She had imagined that Qin Xian'er's feelings for Su Yu would fade with time. That way, she would still have a chance. But seeing this scene, she felt a sense of loss. I will help you both be happy. Goodbye, Xian'er. Xia Jingyu tried her best to smile, waving goodbye. However, when he turned his head back, he secretly added, Goodbye, Su Yu. Leaving the warship, Xia Jingyu felt a sense of loneliness. It was their promise to look at the prosperity of the Zhenlong continent on Su Yu's behalf. Now that she had handed over the Starry Sky Heavenly Book and met Qin Xian'er again, Xia Jingyu suddenly thought that perhaps she and Su Yu were no longer bound by anything. What was left was to forget each other. Above the sea, Su Yu traveled for 3 consecutive days. He was about to reach the Dragon Abyss of the 9 underworlds, but his figure flickered, but he did not immediately return to the Dragon Abyss of the 9 underworlds. Instead, he landed on an island. There are still 5 to 6 days until the appointed time. Before that, I'll deal with the goods first. Apart from the rare undead herb of the Netherworld, he had also obtained a semi-manufactured spiritual artifact, the ghost-suppressing golden ring. Su Yu had witnessed the power of that item vividly. Even such a ferocious ghost king had been firmly imprisoned by the ghost-suppressing golden ring. To Su Yu, who had been targeted by the heavenly ghost Xinggu, it was a timely help. It was a pity that the item had already been refined by the old man in the painting. Su Yu's 10,000 soldiers' spiritual liquid had been completely depleted, so he was unable to refine it. If he forcefully used it, the power of this item would undoubtedly be greatly reduced, and it would be difficult for it to display its power when used to intimidate the Ghost King. Other than that, Su Yu had also obtained a mysterious heavenly map. The old man in the painting had prepared for dozens of years to obtain this item, so it must be extremely important. However, it was a pity that he did not know its use at the moment, so he could only keep it for the time being. Lastly, there was a vital energy crystal embedded at the abdomen of the black armor. This indicated that this broken armor did not belong to the Zhenlong continent. Moreover, this object was abnormally hard. Although it was damaged to a certain extent, the location of the heart, naked. Although it was exposed, it was still a top-grade armor. However, he did not know how strong its defense was. He still needed to test it in actual combat. After keeping all the items properly, Su Yu took out the Dragon Abyss Elixir. Looking at the completely black Dragon Abyss Elixir, Su Yu's eyes were filled with anticipation. He had been stuck at Immortal Realm Level 4 peak for a very long time. It was time for a new breakthrough. He took a deep breath, adjusted his state to its peak, then opened his mouth and swallowed the elixir. At once, a bone-piercing cold energy invaded his dantian. Within his dantian, the liquefied spirit energy was being compressed by the cold energy, gathering continuously. His dantian was experiencing an intense pain, causing Su Yu to clench his teeth, letting out a cracking sound. Large beads of sweat rolled down Su Yu's face, which was gradually turning pale. At that moment, the liquefied spirit energy in his body, after being compressed to the extreme, started to change. Within the liquefied spirit energy, shreds of weak crystals could be seen gradually being compressed. They were spirit energy crystals. As time passed, the number of spirit energy crystals increased. At that moment, a layer of dark clouds had gathered in the sky. Bolts of lightning could be faintly seen, roaring continuously, as if preparing for something. Su Yu sensed it, raising his head to look at the sky, his expression changing. Of all times, it has to come at this moment. At that moment, Su Yu was fully focused on his breakthrough. How could he have the excess spirit energy to deal with the lightning that had appeared out of nowhere, tens of thousands of miles away? A sloppy old man was sitting on a giant rock, drunkenly pouring wine into his mouth. Suddenly, his expression turned serious, looking at the horizon in shock. Whoosh, with the sound of the air being torn apart, two youthful figures appeared. The two of them wore simple clothing, their collars sewn with the word Qin. Elder Jiu, is someone going through the fairy realm? The youth in the lead had a cultivation level of half-god. His age was not more than 25 years old. Such talent was terrifying. The sloppy old man looked for a moment, then shook his head. No, it is a breakthrough to Heaven Master. The youth in the lead was shocked. Elder, Heaven Masters can attract a heavenly tribulation? That is too unbelievable. The sloppy old man laughed. This is the first time I've seen it. It must be someone who deserves to be struck by lightning. Don't worry about it, just wait for that lad to come. The two youths bowed in acknowledgement, standing at the side respectfully, not making a sound. Su Yu had reached a crucial moment. At that moment, the liquefied spirit energy in his body had turned into shreds of weak crystals, gradually condensing under the pressure of the medicinal effects. But at that moment, the lightning that had been brewing for a long time finally came roaring down. With a loud rumble, a Tenjong thick lightning dragon roared down, as if it wanted to destroy the entire island. Su Yu, who was deep within, groaned. With a thought, the broken armor covered his body. Chapter 443. The entire reef island was shaken to the point that it was trembling violently. The coral reef that Suyu was on was sinking into the sea. In a breath's time, the entire island was destroyed. The lightning that splashed into the sea instantly killed all the living creatures within a 100-mile radius. In an instant, the surface of the sea was littered with corpses. As for Suyu, who had fallen into the sea, his body was covered in lightning, as if it wanted to blast his body into nothingness. At the critical moment, the vital energy crystal of the black armor released a bolt of vital energy, activating the armor and releasing a layer of black protective barrier. Although the lightning was strong, it could not get close to Suyu, dispersing within the protective barrier. However, there was a gap at the chest area of the armor. The lightning circled a few times, and less than 10% of the lightning struck Suyu through the crack. Pooh! Suyu spat out a mouthful of blood, his body a mess of flesh and blood. His divine sense had almost been scattered. The crystal that had been forming in his dantian shook violently, showing signs of being scattered. Suyu was extremely furious. The breakthrough of a mere heaven master had attracted a heavenly disaster. But what caused his expression to change was that the dark clouds in the sky had no intention of dispersing. Instead, 2 bolts of lightning struck down. His expression turned serious. 1 bolt of lightning had nearly interrupted his breakthrough. If it were 2 bolts of lightning, not only would his cultivation level be interrupted, he might not even be able to survive. Clenching his teeth, Suyu opened the storage artifact on the strand of hair. There were 4 middle-grade divine artifacts within, and Suyu painfully threw them all out. Rumble, crack. 2 of the divine artifacts exploded on the spot. But because of that, the lightning was neutralized. But before Suyu could heave a sigh of relief, the dark clouds in the sky gathered again, and 3 bolts of lightning struck down. A total of 3 bolts. This was practically forcing Suyu to his death. Bang! The remaining 2 middle-grade divine artifacts were destroyed. The remaining bolt of lightning struck down without any resistance. At the critical moment, Suyu endured the pain and took out a spiritual ruler. It was Xian Wuhan's powerful divine artifact that could summon beast souls. The 2 collided, and a beast soul flew out from the spiritual ruler, swallowing the lightning. The 2 destroyed each other. The beast soul was destroyed by the lightning, and the spiritual ruler split into 2. The spirit ruler was destroyed. Seizing the opportunity, Suyu frantically forced the fusion of the crystals. However, the dark clouds that were clearly about to dissipate actually condensed again. Moreover, a bolt of yellow lightning that far surpassed the previous one appeared. Its aura was vast and its destructive power was exceptionally shocking. The fusion of the 6 lightning bolts earlier was not even comparable to the yellow lightning bolt in front of him. Suyu, who had noticed this, could not help but be filled with murderous intent. Within the lightning, he sensed a familiar aura, heavenly might. It was the heavens that prevented him from becoming a heaven master. It seemed like Suyu's pure divine decree and heavenly eyes had angered the ruler of the unseen world. Hence, it had tried its best to obstruct his breakthrough. Suyu clenched his teeth, and the fire origin and ice origin in his body gushed out at the same time. Bang! Amidst the deafening rumble, a 500-foot thick thunder dragon roared as it charged toward Suyu, who was at the bottom of the sea. The origin energy of ice and fire turned into 2 pillars of light that soared into the sky, heading straight for Lei Long. The ear needles collided, but there was no sound. Half of the thunder dragon was destroyed, but the 2 origin energies were also swallowed by the heavenly might thunder dragon. The will of the heavens that wanted to stop Suyu from breaking through was extremely strong. As if sensing danger, the vital energy crystal on the armor quickly released a large amount of vital energy. In an instant, more than 30% of its energy was used. A 5-zhang thick light barrier enshrouded Suyu entirely. Thump! The thunder dragon roared as it smashed down. At that moment, Suyu felt as if he had suffered a heavy blow. His body shot toward the depths of the sea like a cannonball. There was a metallic taste in his throat, and his internal organs were in turmoil. Many of the bones in his body were broken. The crystal within his dantian, which was about to condense successfully, was violently shaken, nearly collapsing. Su Yu's expression changed. Without another word, he quickly protected his dantian and gathered the collapsing crystal back together. But at that moment, a hole appeared in the chest area of the protective barrier. The lightning, which had nowhere to escape, crazily drilled into the barrier. Thump, thump, but a crackling sound could be heard from within the armor. Su Yu, who was already badly mutilated, was struck by the lightning until his entire body festered. His flesh split open and his bones could be seen. These were only external injuries. The overbearing lightning of the heavenly tribulation did not stop there. It entered Su Yu's body, rampaging and destroying everything in its path. His body was filled with continuous banging sounds, his flesh exploding piece by piece. In the blink of an eye, Su Yu was on the brink of life and death. His consciousness was a little fuzzy, and his soul was shaken violently. At that moment, the divine nine-dragon cauldron suddenly shook. 10 drops of red liquid rippled out from within the cauldron. The white dragon, which had been crystallized a third, had been crystallized by 2/3 in an instant. The remaining red liquid entered Su Yu's bloodline. A shocking scene appeared. The overbearing lightning immediately became docile, like a mouse that had seen a cat. Everywhere it passed, all the violent lightning of the heavenly tribulation became gentle. It was as if the red liquid was like a king. Very quickly, the red liquid flowed through Su Yu's entire body. The remaining lightning in his body became docile. At the same time, everywhere the red liquid passed, Su Yu's nearly destroyed body recovered at a shocking speed. In a short moment, his skin was as good as new, as if he had never been injured. Finally, the remaining red liquid seemed to have sensed something and flowed toward Su Yu's dantian. Under its nourishment, cracks appeared. The crystal, which was about to collapse, quickly formed. A moment later, it formed into a crystal the size of a thumb, quietly revolving within Su Yu's dantian. Crystal was the symbol of a heaven master. A comfortable feeling spread throughout Su Yu's body. Feeling the powerful ripples of spirit energy within his dantian, Su Yu's body was filled with unimaginable power. He believed that if he met a human king, he would be able to fight him head-on, even without relying on his physical body. Looking around at the various ruins that had fallen into the sea with him, Su Yu's eyes were filled with hatred. If not for the fact that he had various divine artifacts, the armor he had obtained, and the help of the divine nine-dragon cauldron at the last moment, he would have been obliterated. Hatred burned in his chest. Su Yu shot into the sky, cutting through the surface of the sea. At that moment, the dissipating dark clouds started to gather again. A bolt of green lightning, even more terrifying than the yellow lightning, was brewing. Scram! Su Yu's eyes turned cold, opening his mouth to suck in a mouthful of spirit energy. The word army, which was 10,000 zhang in size, suddenly exploded. The destructive sound wave charged into the dark clouds with radiation. The dark clouds that were still condensing were swept away by the huge sound wave that swept away all the clouds. Even the lightning that had yet to be formed was destroyed with a whimper. On the faraway Dragon Abyss Island of the 9 underworlds, 2 members of the Qin family looked at the scene in shock. The heavenly disaster has been dispersed. But at that moment, the dark clouds started to gather again. Su Yu's gaze turned cold, taking out the silver bow. He had already refined the bow to 80% and could use its full power. Pulling the bow back, a 3-foot-long arrow of spirit energy appeared. As Su Yu released his fingers, it was like a green lightning bolt, piercing through the dark clouds. The tribulation clouds were dispersed once again. But the heavenly disaster did not seem to rest until it killed Su Yu. After dispersing, it started to gather again. But just as it gathered, An arrow of spirit energy pierced through it. In the darkness, there seemed to be a furious roar coming from the soul level. The dark clouds were gathering at an even faster speed. Without thinking, Suyu shot out an arrow, dispersing the dark clouds. His face was filled with cold, murderous intent. I will destroy one tribulation cloud when it appears. I will destroy both if two appear. I want to see what you can do to me. Just like that, the dark clouds continued to gather and were dispersed by Suyu. The tribulation clouds were extremely aggrieved. Before they could form any more lightning, they were dispersed. This went on for 9 rounds. Finally, the lightning could no longer gather. But from the 9 heavens, a cold murderous intent pierced through Suyu. The murderous intent was so strong it seemed to come from the whole world, filled with the power of heaven and earth. Suyu was not afraid. He looked toward the direction of the murderous intent. He let out a cold laugh. What are you looking at? I don't care who you are. One day, I will step into the 9 heavens and destroy all of you. After experiencing the heavenly disaster with the heavenly eyes, Suyu had seen through the so-called heavenly disaster. There was no heavens in the world. There were only strong fighters of the human race who enslaved all living beings. They called themselves heavens, suppressing the breakthroughs of all living beings. They treated the people of the Zhenlong continent like livestock. If they disobeyed, they would use lightning to suppress them. Why did Suyu need to fear such a powerful world? As if in response to Suyu's provocation, an even stronger murderous intent descended. Suyu let out a cold laugh. Other than glaring at me, what else can you do? A bunch of trash. If those people could kill Suyu, they would have done so long ago. Why would they wait until now? Ignoring the cold murderous intent, Suyu turned and charged in another direction, looking for a quiet place to stabilize his cultivation level. He only flew toward the island in the dragon abyss of the 9 underworlds 5 or 6 days after he had recovered. Whoosh! Before Suyu had even descended into the dragon abyss of the 9 underworlds, a figure of light appeared. It was Gang Dalei. This person had a forthright personality and had helped Suyu quite a bit in the past. Haha, as expected, you have successfully broken through to Heaven Master. Gang Dalei's clone laughed, stepping forward to pat Suyu's shoulder. Suyu smiled modestly. This is all thanks to Brother Dalei's help. That was how I was able to find enough dragon abyss fruit. Gang Dalei laughed. You don't have to be humble. The aura of your breakthrough a few days ago was extraordinary as well. It really opened my eyes. Suyu was stunned. A few days ago? I broke through half a month ago. Did someone break through here a few days ago? Suyu had noticed that Gang Dalei's carefree attitude had changed. His eyes were filled with shrewdness. It was obvious that Gang Dalei was not as boorish as he looked. Chapter 444. Gang Dalei shrugged his shoulders and said, All right, the old man is waiting for you. Led by him, Suyu landed on a giant rock. Apart from the sloppy old man, there were 2 youths in ancient clothes with the word Qin embroidered on their collars. Lad, you are finally here. Let's not waste any more time. Let's go. The sloppy old man did not bother with pleasantries. He only looked at Suyu profoundly, revealing a mysterious smile as he led the group away. When Suyu came to his senses, he was already on a white cloud, flying at a shocking speed. His speed was so fast that it left people speechless. It was as if he had truly traveled 10,000 miles in an instant. What shocked Suyu even more was that when he was sucked into the cloud, he did not react at all. The terror of the fairy realm was not something that immortal realm cultivators could surpass. He is the Black Snow Devil King that we have been waiting for half a month? Humph, his abilities are average, but he is very arrogant. After settling down, one of the 2 youths with the word Qin embroidered on their collars looked at Suyu with a critical gaze, muttering softly. The cloud was only a few zhang wide, and even the smallest of whispers could be heard. It was obvious that the other party was speaking to him. Suyu turned his head and glanced at him. He had an ordinary appearance, but there was a natural tumor on his forehead that looked like a green horn. After glancing at him, Su Yu retracted his gaze as if nothing had happened. He had no intention of responding. "What kind of gaze is that?" The green-horned youth was displeased. Su Yu's gaze was extremely arrogant to him. Su Yu did not reply. He even closed his eyes. Seeing this, the young man was secretly annoyed. "I say, don't you think too highly of yourself?" The sloppy old man was sleeping soundly on the cloud. On the other side, Gang Dalei, whose entire body was wrapped in a ball of light, seemed to have entered a meditative state. He did not try to stop Su Yu. Only the 25-year-old youth beside the green-horned youth creased his brows and scolded, "Shut up!" The green-horned youth shuddered. Although he looked at Su Yu furiously, he did not dare speak again. "This must be the famous Black Snow Devil King. It has been a long time since we last met. I am Qin Zhiyang, and this is my brother, Qin Yushan. If he has offended you in any way, please forgive him." Qin Zhiyang was quite handsome, and his whole body was filled with a masculine aura. He was also quite humble. Even though he was a demigod, he was still able to apologize to others. It could be seen that he still had some magnanimity. Su Yu opened his eyes and cupped his fists slightly. "Mr. Qin, you flatter me. Compared to the Qin family of the 8 great ancient clans, a mere wandering martial artist like me is nothing." Qin Yushan was shocked, while Qin Zhiyang revealed an interested expression. "I am indeed from the Qin clan of the 8 great ancient clans. Brother Black Snow, you have a good eye." Su Yu smiled indifferently. "A half-god genius with the surname Qin. Apart from the 8 great ancient clans, I really can't think of any other forces that could nurture such an outstanding person." In fact, Su Yu was a little surprised. He was actually traveling with the 8 great ancient clans. Qin Zhiyang did not take it to heart and smiled. "In the mysterious heavenly divine pavilion, I hope that we can help each other." "It should be Mr. Qin who will guide me," Su Yu replied modestly, then closed his eyes. Qin Zhiyang smiled, but did not speak. "Brother Zhiyang, why did you stop me just now? This person is arrogant. Why do you need to be nice to him?" Qin Yushan sent a message to Su Yu secretly, feeling indignant. Qin Zhiyang calmly replied, "You cannot judge a book by its cover. If you look down on others, you will suffer in the end. Since this person was chosen by Elder Jiu to carry out that mission with us, he must have something special about him. It is foolish of you to provoke him for no reason. Furthermore, based on my intuition, even though your cultivation level is above his, if you were to fight him, you might not be able to gain much from him." Qin Yushan laughed angrily. "Brother Zhiyang, aren't you overestimating the morale of others and diminishing your own? Even though I am stupid, I have been trained by the best in my family since I was young. I have fought countless life and death battles in my life. No matter what, I am not someone that any random cat or dog can compare to." Qin Zhiyang creased his brows slightly, but did not continue to persuade him. He understood his own clan brother very well. In terms of talent, apart from himself, no one in the entire Qin family could compare to him. Even though he was only a human king, he had the experience of exchanging a few blows with a half-god. Among the human kings of the same generation in the clan, no one was a match for him. Thus, the arrogance in his heart was not tempered and would not be restrained. There was no point in saying anything more. After a few days, the white clouds traversed thousands of miles of mountains and rivers and descended on an extremely steep, desolate mountain in the middle continent. This mountain was abnormally steep, and the mountain body was slanted as if it was about to collapse. Many white clouds surrounded the middle of the mountain. Looking down, one could see a cliff that was tens of thousands of feet high. There were also many strange giant birds that flew past. Gang Dalei, who was cultivating, seemed to have sensed something and woke up. He grinned and said, "We are finally here. Damn it, my butt is numb." The group of people jumped down one after another. He carried the drunken, sloppy old Taoist down and threw him on the ground. Ouch! You bastard! The sloppy old Taoist was instantly in pain. His drunkenness was completely gone, and he opened his mouth to curse. Gang Dalei snorted angrily and said, "Old man, stop talking nonsense. Open the spell and let us in quickly." The sloppy old Taoist glared at Gang Dalei fiercely, rubbing his butt. He formed a seal with one hand and struck the void in front of him. The void, which had clearly been empty, suddenly rippled. Without a sound, a purplish gold door covered in symbols appeared. The door gave off an ancient aura, as if it had been through the ages. The sloppy old Taoist's expression turned serious. "I can only open this door for 5 breaths' time. The 4 of you must enter within these 5 breaths' time." Suyu was shocked. Even with the power of the fairy realm, he could only open the door for 5 breaths' time? The sloppy old Taoist put down the wine pot, his expression serious. A shocking amount of vital energy burst forth from his body, turning into a pair of giant hands that pushed open the purplish gold door in front of him. Creak! The purplish gold door opened slightly. A spiritual energy that was 3 times denser than the outside world gushed forth. "Go in quickly." The door only allowed one person to pass through. The sloppy old Taoist's face turned red. It was obvious that it was extremely strenuous. The expressions of the 4 of them turned cold, and they entered one after another. Finally, the sloppy old Taoist entered as well. Without the vital energy to maintain it, the purplish gold door closed with a bang, then turned into nothingness. Suyu felt his feet spin, and he staggered as he landed on an ice-cold ground. When they opened their eyes, they found themselves in a rather large bronze plaza. There were statues of different shapes around the plaza. They were all young people, not older than 25 years old. There was even a 14-year-old girl among them. These statues were emitting a terrifying aura. They were at least at the level of half-god. Some of them had even surpassed the human king level, reaching the level of the fairy realm. Unfortunately, the fairy realm expert was the 14-year-old girl. Suyu was shocked. Looking at the hundreds of statues, he had a vague feeling that he could not understand them. These statues are the strongest martial artists that have appeared in the history of the mysterious Heavenly Divine Pavilion. Every statue represents the strongest martial artist of the current generation of the mysterious Heavenly Divine Pavilion. Suyu stared at the 14-year-old girl in disbelief. "May I ask, Elder Gyo, which generation's strongest martial artist is this little girl?" The sloppy old Taoist looked at the young girl's statue, unable to hide his shock. "She is the strongest martial artist of the previous generation. But why have I never heard of such a talented young girl in the Zhenlong continent?" Suyu could not understand. Similarly, the 3 people who had come along were in disbelief. The young girl in front of them had reached the level of the fairy realm at the age of 14. What kind of frightening talent was that? Who told you that she was from the Zhenlong continent? The sloppy old Taoist raised his eyebrows. What? Suyu and the others were shocked. If she was not from the Zhenlong continent, could she be from Jiuzhou? That's right. Just as you have guessed, the mysterious Heavenly Divine Pavilion is not exclusive to the Zhenlong continent. It is actually the legacy of Jiuzhou. But every 10,000 years, a weak projection will descend upon the Zhenlong continent. With luck, we have the chance to enjoy the legacy of Jiuzhou once. The mysterious Heavenly Divine Pavilion has descended upon Jiuzhou hundreds of times, but it has only appeared twice in the Zhenlong continent. The sloppy old Taoist revealed a secret that no one knew about. As he spoke, the old man's expression turned serious. In the Zhenlong continent, due to the restrictions of heaven and earth, no one can make a breakthrough to the fairy realm. The mysterious Heavenly Divine Pavilion is your only chance. The King of Darkness and the First Realm Master that you know of only made a breakthrough in the mysterious Heavenly Divine Pavilion. Apart from them, throughout the ages, the Zhenlong continent has never produced another fairy realm. So, you should understand what the mysterious heavenly divine pavilion means to you. Hearing this, the breathing of everyone present quickened. The only chance to make a breakthrough to the fairy realm. Suyu thought for a moment, then said, Elder, if that's the case, we will meet strong fighters from Jiuzhou in the mysterious heavenly divine pavilion. I wonder what their abilities are like? Are there any fairy realm cultivators inside? The sloppy old Taoist laughed. Good question. The mysterious heavenly divine pavilion has very high requirements for those who enter. First, they cannot be older than 25. Secondly, their cultivation levels must be below the fairy realm. Once they exceed this limit, they will be forcefully transported out. So, you do not have to worry about the strong fighters of the fairy realm inside. As everyone heaved a sigh of relief, the sloppy old Taoist suddenly laughed. However, among the hundreds of statues, if nothing goes wrong, none of the geniuses of the Zhenlong continent can defeat one of them. Hearing this, everyone's expressions changed. Qin Yushan's face was filled with dissatisfaction. Qin Zhuyang and Gang Dalai were deep in thought. Suyu stared at the hundreds of statues. Every one of them was the strongest fighter participating in the mysterious heavenly divine pavilion. Their abilities had reached a frightening level, not something an ordinary half-god could compare to. The sloppy old Taoist's words were not empty words. At this moment, the space opposite them rippled. 7 figures appeared. They were the 7 lords of darkness. Suyu's pupils turned serious, and he looked at the 2 people who were ranked first and second. Bai Luo and Shen Ying. Bai Luo wore a green robe, his aura restrained. He looked like an ordinary person.